not much you can do.
Thanks.
Might try. It's millages, but Canton doesn't look right. It says Canton has a millage of like 3. It's not right. This column over here.
Yeah, I look at this.
It doesn't make sense, so maybe you know how to make sense of it.
Let me finish reading this memo.
Call to order Plymouth Township regular Board of Trustees meeting Tuesday, September 23, 6:30 p.m. Well, 6:34 p.m. Roll call.
Trustee Buckley.
Here.
Trustee Clinton.
Here.
Supervisor Kermy.
Here.
Treasurer Dorshevitz.
Here.
Trustee Grove.
Here.
Trustee Stewart. Clerk Borba. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we're going to start out today with a proclamation for National Fire Prevention. Proclamation today for National Fire Prevention Week, October 5 through 11. And our fire chief will come. I'm not going to read it, but our fire chief can come up here and maybe say a few words if you want, and I'll hand this to you also. That would be a good idea if somebody could take there's nobody here to take a picture, but maybe we'll think about it after you're done.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. This year's theme for National Fire Safety is Charge into Fire Safety, and it's concerning lithium-ion batteries in your home. A few things you can do, just a few high points. I'm not going to be up here all night. I think it's going to be a long evening. But one thing you can do is 3 things, basically. It's buy good stuff, charge them right, and recycle. So by buying, you want to buy nationally approved stuff, UL, ETL, or CSA/US approved devices that have been tested and you know they're good. Don't be using those aftermarket cords you find at the gas station or anything like that. When you charge safely. That means putting your devices on a hard surface. Don't overcharge them. Don't do like I do. Don't leave them plugged into your phone all night and just sitting there and unplug them in the morning. Unplug them when they're totally charged. And like I say, use only cords that come with the devices. Finally, recycle. You can recycle a number of places. Batteries Plus takes them. They charge $1 a pound. I talked to the gentleman today, but you have to keep them all separate, the different types of batteries. And you can also use ERG, which we use here in the township, and you can contact Sarah Vissel, our solid waste director. She can guide you on that. And finally, appears to be the free option is Home Depot. They have a little trash can right in their front lobby that you can deposit your batteries in. So hopefully that knowledge will keep everybody a little safer this year. And don't forget our fire safety open house on October 11th from 10 to 2 at Station 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will somebody take a picture of him holding the proclamation? I don't need to be in it.
He's learning fast. You ought to be in movies.
Approval of the agenda.
Mr. Supervisor, I move for the approval of the agenda for Tuesday, September 23, 2025.
Second.
Second by trustee Growth. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Approval of the consent agenda. We do have resolutions on here, and we will also take item A and introduce Mr. Ted Barker to be appointed to the Veterans Commission. He can say something, or he can just stand up, and then we will also swear him in after this, right?
Correct. Thanks, Ted.
I have an issue with the minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, yep.
The minutes on page 9 in the packet state that I didn't feel there was a reason to have an outside senior needs assessment completed. In actuality, my concern centered around the lack of communication with board members so that we know when issues are being considered that fall within the realm of board decision rather than an individual supervisor decision. And I also stated that we're a board with 7 members, 7 votes, and plans being made with other communities to assess needs should not reveal themselves through watching other community videos from their meetings, but should first be communicated with trustees who are involved in making decisions on these processes.
So submit that to the,
To the clerk, and then we can vote on that as approved.
Okay.
Mr. Super,
I'm sorry, but we had Ted stand up, but
well, we need
kinda
to,
left him
yeah,
hanging,
we left
so-
him hanging. So let's have him stand up again. You're getting your
Nobody
exercise.
told you you could
Yeah,
sit down.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Mother may I, yeah.
so, Ted is now gonna be part of the Veterans Commission. I'm the chairwoman of the Veterans Commission for Plymouth Township. He's got an amazing, resume. He's on several boards, owner of Shaw Construction. But most notably, recently, he was instrumental in putting together the Veterans Banner Program for the city of Plymouth, and that really caught my eye. I thought that was very impressive, and his enthusiasm was much welcome for our commission since we were down a couple members. So we're very excited and grateful to have him.
And so Ted, after we do the approval of the consent agenda, then I will swear you in up front here, okay? Mr. Supervisor, I move the approval of the consent agenda for Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025.
Second.
Second. All in favor? No, we have to do a roll call. Trustee Buckley?
Yes.
Trustee Clinton?
Yes.
Supervisor Kermy?
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz?
Yes.
Trustee Grove?
Yes, but I do have a question on the township bills.
On the what now?
On the bills.
On the township bills, do I have to address that now, or?
Yeah,
You can, go right ahead, please.
Okay. When I reviewed the bills, I noted an expenditure of $32,921.16 for the renewal of the Office 365 subscription renewal. And I just wanted to question, should that not fall within the purchasing policy under informal and formal bidding procedures?
the one, well, it's sole source to, we're renewing
The same thing.
Microsoft.
Over and over.
But we will, but, yeah, it's sole sourced, and it is in the budget. So we will probably have to bring it and do a budget, we may do a budget amendment. No, I don't think we will. I think we're okay.
It's in the budget.
It's in
What
the
is that
budget.
for?
It's for renewing the licenses for Office.
Yeah, we don't need to.
365.
Yeah,
We historically do that.
I know we need,
Yeah.
the board doesn't need to review that.
No, I don't think so.
What
Good
do we
point,
do
though.
not have
Yeah, I'm just
Microsoft
looking at the
Office?
purchasing policy, and it says anything over 20,000 has to
Yep.
go through the formal bid process. So I just wanted to know if that was,
We didn't bid that because it's a sole source carrying over our existing license.
okay, maybe that's something that should be reflected in the purchasing policy?
Subscription, software subscription services for
Yeah.
renewals, should be
Like
exempted.
a contract work, like we would.
But we,
bid for
eventually, we will
contractors.
tune up the purchasing policy because it's just maybe a little old.
Okay, well, yeah, my concern is that, we've talked about this before with the budget. Approving a budget is not a mandate to spend, and I just want to make sure that our department heads are following the limits on the purchasing policy, because that's going to get all of us in trouble if we're not watching that.
Yes, and we're trying to rein that in, not trying, we are reining that in.
Okay.
Because there was, over the last decades or whatever, the feeling that if it was in the budget, you could spend it, but the board has to approve it, so we are working that.
Okay,
So at this point,
I approve that because of timing of maintaining our licenses, so that we didn't get into trouble with Microsoft by having expired licenses. So, we're gonna tune that up, so, suggestion taken.
okay, thank
trustee
you.
Growth,
Yes.
trustee Stewart. Clerk Borba, yes, motion carries. And could I have our candidate come up? Ted? Here's the oath of office, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it, and you can just follow after me. I'll say aye, and you say your name, and then follow after me. Please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the laws, ordinances, and policies
and the laws, ordinances, and policies
of the Charter Township of Plymouth,
of the Charter Township of Plymouth.
and I will faithfully perform the duties
I will faithfully perform the duties of the
Veterans Commission
Veterans Commission
for the Charter Township of Plymouth, Michigan,
for the Charter Township of Michigan,
being ever mindful
being ever mindful
that my service is a reflection on
that my service is a reflection of
the Township of Plymouth,
the Township of Plymouth,
and will discharge these duties
and I will discharge the duties
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God. Congratulations. Sign?
All right.
Aye. Pen? One is your copy.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
I voted no.
I know you did. Okay.
Thanks for serving,
Thank
Ted.
you.
This is the time for public comment. You have 3 minutes, and it'll be on non-agenda items. I know some of you are here for Gray's Greenhouse. Do not talk about Gray's Greenhouse now. You will have an opportunity to talk about that when we come to the subject during the meeting. So anyone can come up now for 3 minutes.
Hello, Maddie Piontek. I live in the East Lawn neighborhood. The one that's the driveway to the new Plymouth Walk. I've
Could
been
you
here a
move the
lot.
microphone closer to you?
I'm wondering if there's any update on our sidewalks because
Yes,
They're- they're-
there was a meeting last week.
yeah, and that's the thing is they didn't invite the whole neighborhood to it.
Well, it's hard to
And they
communicate.
only fixed the grass of the people that were there. And even that, they told us they didn't do mine because I wasn't invited. And they told us they would like scrape out the old, like gravel dirt and everything. All they did was just put topsoil and grass seed over it with some hay. And like I said, the sidewalks there's tarp markings all over them. My new driveway has concrete splattered all over it. There's a big gap between my driveway and the sidewalk. I don't think that'll get fixed because I wasn't invited to the meeting, even though I told them all this. There's sidewalks that are all like bumpy and just horrible. And you can say you didn't pay for this, but it reflects Plymouth Township when your neighborhood looks that crappy. So I was just wondering if there's an update on,
The update is I authorized spending 5,000 incremental dollars, taxpayers' money, to fix the sidewalks. So I authorized $5,000 of taxpayers' money as part of the project to fix the sidewalks that were wavy. The person who came here with a ponytail, I don't know his name, his sidewalks are the target, and maybe your neighbor to the,
my neighbor,
West.
yeah.
okay, that's what,
But-
those will be fixed.
What about the new sidewalks that are,
The new sidewalks
done.
are what they are.
but why? Can't we tell them, no, fix it? Like, I don't understand. You guys represent us. Why can't you tell them
They are
that?
deemed acceptable within the specification according to engineering. And that's
But-
the judgment I have to take.
But
So.
there's
keep
like
going.
massive gaps. And it's like horrible work. In fact, mine, they came to smooth it out after working hours one day, opened a can of sparkling water to pour it on there and smooth it out. They didn't lay gravel under my driveway. Oh, that dirt has some rocks in it, it's gravel. Why can't we tell them no?
We're at our limits of
Do you
spending.
know what the sidewalks look like?
Yeah, I've walked them. They're perfectly acceptable to me, but what you got is a very improved neighborhood.
No,
We've improved it.
that's
All right.
BS.
Well, you got a great neighborhood. We increased the value of your property massively at taxpayers' expense. Your group would not pay to pave your roads. You refused. We did it. I didn't vote for it. I inherited the project. The project is an overwhelming success from appearance and durability.
Not from appearance.
All right, so anything else? I got the
I'm
message.
ashamed of Plymouth Township to accept that quality.
All right, I appreciate your comments. Anyone else?
Hello, my name.
Get it up to your face there a little bit.
Yep. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Max Mills. I'm a resident of Plymouth and a father of 2 young kids, ages 3 and 1. And I'm here to request an ordinance change to require pool fences around all in-ground pools within the township of Plymouth. This summer, our next-door neighbor built an in-ground pool, and they did not put a fence around the pool. In lieu of that, they put in a pool cover that meets ASTM standards. These pool covers, the way that they work, they have a mechanical motor on them. You have to operate them with a remote to open and close the cover, and that is the only barrier on their pool. The problem with those types of covers, they are safe when the cover is closed, but once you open them, now there is no barrier between children, vulnerable people like my little kids that live right next door, and an open source of water. And it can be something as simple and innocent as a trip to the bathroom or a quick restroom break, and the pool's left uncovered. We have already seen this happen 2 times since they've put this pool in, and they filled it with water 1 month ago. And we've seen it uncovered and unattended. So I and my wife have already experienced children drowning twice. My wife and I both have. I was a lifeguard at the Summit Aquatic Center, and in 2011, myself and a couple other lifeguards performed CPR on a 4-year-old that drowned in the pool. And we used an AED on him, and luckily he survived. My wife, there was a 2-year-old boy, his name was Alexander Petco, and he drowned in a pool in Plymouth Township in 2013. My wife was a teacher at Red Bell Preschool at the time, and she had Alexander's older brother in her classroom, and she saw firsthand the devastation from that family and how it impacted our township as a whole. And we built a train at the Plymouth Township Park to honor his memory, and my kids regularly play on that train. According to the CDC, more children ages 1 through 4 die from drowning than any other cause of death. And children ages 5 through 14, drowning is the 2nd leading cause of unintentional injury death after motor vehicle accidents, making the biggest threat to my kids' safety just 12 feet away from our property line. In May of this year, a 2-year-old boy drowned in a pool in Arizona. This pool had no perimeter fence, and a cover was usually in place to protect the children. The child was left unattended for about 3 to 5 minutes while the father was caring for their 2-month-old, and that 2-year-old fell into the pool. The mother, Emily Kaiser, said after his death, "One of the hardest lessons I carry is that a permanent pool fence could have saved his life, and it's something that I will never overlook again. I hope amidst this pain, Trigg, her son's story, will help prevent other children and families from suffering the same loss. I would like to make a motion that we investigate and pursue ordinance changes to require pool fences around all in-ground pools within the township. More strict safety rules would protect the vulnerable community members that can't protect themselves." Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I think we have a person here who stood up.
Good evening. My name is Gordon Didier. The last name is spelled D-I-D-I-E-R. My wife Elaine and I live at 13060 Beacon Hill Drive in the township. We've lived at that address for the past 41 years. For 10 years prior to that, we lived in Lake Point following my return from the Navy. Some of you are aware of the motorhome situation, which has been an eyesore in our community for much of the past 6 months. Many of us attended the Zoning Board of Appeals hearing in this room back in July, at which the variance was properly denied because, as the applicant admitted, there were no circumstances which were unique or a hardship in that situation. Some of us attended the pretrial arraignment with Township Attorney Kevin Bennett that was scheduled in August. In the complaint brought by the township, the defendant did not appear after 4 hours. Judge Placas held up a pleading signed in red fingerprints and said he would issue a bench warrant. People in the community are increasingly frustrated and concerned that this has been going on for 6 months. I know that you are, some of you at least, are working, trying to resolve it. I came here only to urge you to move forward with all diligence to resolve this situation as soon as possible. I would like to have our residents continue to support the township in the efforts we're making to enforce our ordinances and, frankly, preserve property values and keep the community safe. Thank you
So
very
are you
much.
saying, sir, that they haven't moved the motorhome?
Pardon me?
Are you saying that they haven't moved the motorhome?
The motorhome has come and gone for periods of up to 3 weeks over the past 6 months. It has been there as of today for 3 weeks and 1 day, most recently. So it comes and goes, but it's there for long periods of time. It sits on the corner of Beacon Hill Court and Amesbury. It is completely exposed to public view. If you stand across the street at Garrick Lee's house, you can look at the graphic and it says outlaw on it. And yes, it's an outlaw. This defendant has a record that's on the public record of the insurance commissioner of 3 prior convictions for criminal cases in which she pled guilty. We're dealing with someone who seems to have no respect for the law or authority, as evidenced by these red fingerprints on the pleading. But yes, I walked by the motorhome at 5:20 this evening. It's still there. And it's big. It's 40 feet long, 13 feet high, and 8 feet wide, and has a beautiful graphic on it.
Yeah, yeah. And what are we,
It's an ongoing case. Kevin's got the ball. I've been providing him regular direction
well,
for
I mean, he
weeks.
came here to ask us to help, so.
Well,
just trying to get more
Kevin,
information.
well, I don't know if you want to, we may not want to speak about this here because of some legal action we're taking.
I'm not asking for answers. I'm just encouraging everyone to proceed with all due diligence to move forward on this case and resolve the situation. People stop me in the street whom I don't even know for reasons that aren't clear to me, I guess because I've lived there so long, and say, what's happening? Why is this still here? So people are genuinely concerned about it.
No one has conversation with him?
I'm sorry?
No one has conversation with him?
With the lady?
Well, lady.
The resident?
She came before the ZBA to ask for a variance. It was denied in an open meeting. And then subsequent to that, she continued to put it there. There were violations issued. And my understanding is she didn't, after the violation was issued, she didn't appear in court. And so we're at that point. So
Last ticket was issued on Friday of last week.
So it's a matter of due process that's going on right now.
We encourage you to continue with what you're doing to ensure that she's doing the right thing.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Wayne, the lady there is next.
Go ahead, ma'am. You were first.
Fences are not required around pools.
Not if you have an automated,
Not if you have an automated, it's a,
retractable top.
it's a state law.
Well, I do think that's something we should talk about.
No, you can.
We have talked about it, we've analyzed it. We don't want to waste people's time here, but the building official recommends not, because it's too, we would totally deviate from the building code if we did it. We're following the state building code. There's some intricacies of it, but it's
So
not,
It's a hard no?
well, so far it's a hard no, but
I guess
it'll
we-
take some machinations in the building department that would be very creative, deviating from the state building code. But
think
I
the
don't know
motor-
all the details. Sorry, just wait a minute. I don't know all the details, and I don't want to get into the details here. We don't have the building official here, but I've discussed this at length with the chief building official, Ken McDonald, for months. This has been going on since at least, I think I first heard about it in June.
And this is a subdivision that
I think
does
it's
not
Country
allow
Club.
fences.
I think it's Country Club Acres, right? Country Club Village? Yeah.
And
It's
they
in-
don't allow fences.
It's in my subdivision.
No, we're talking about two different things.
Okay, I'm talking about the motorhome still.
We're confusing pools and motorhomes.
Okay.
They're
just
both fun.
One quick thing. She was issued another ticket, and as far as I can
Hold the
tell.
mic toward you if you would.
Oh, she was issued another ticket, and it looks like the next court date is October 25th, so we can probably expect it to be there till then. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nalkovina. I'm here as a pool with a fence problem as well. So when I learned the in-ground pool doesn't require a fence by Michigan law, I was quite frankly stunned to hear
If
that.
it has a,
Yes, and then
if it has a retractable cover, it doesn't.
Right, but their neighbor is talking about 16-year-old to be responsible for that. Like, please imagine your children or your grandchildren under age of 4 living next to them, and you cannot be eye on them 24/7. Even you want to, you may fall asleep caring for other children. So I want you to think about it, and something happens. Now, you all know that that's the problem. If, God forbid, something happened to their kids, my grandchildren, who is going to their house, or Mr. George Fitz, maybe your family member in the neighborhood can wander around and drop in the pool. You heard somebody died in the pool. How do you feel? You could have done something and you didn't. How do you feel? It's not statistics. Somebody's child's life, so precious, but it's only 1 or 2 cases who doesn't want to have a fence. And because of that, and because we adults didn't act on it, something might have happened. How do you feel after that? So please, please, I am not here to blaming you. I want you to really consider. I don't care about the Michigan law, but as a Plymouth Township, which is a beautiful town, I love living here for 21 years. You have a chance to change something important like some of your kids or some of your grandkids' life. Not just our neighborhood, it affects all township. And I can't believe those people living next to them refuse to build a fence around the pool, in-ground pool. And the people around them, without pool, we cannot build fence. That's in our law. So it doesn't make sense to me. I beg you, please consider, take this very seriously. You're talking about somebody's life. So I beg you, please.
Most likely, if we were successful in changing the ordinance, it wouldn't apply to this situation because it was under a previous building code. So anyway, we've got to get into this, but just passing an ordinance will not force that neighbor who did it completely legally to the building code to build a fence.
Nothing is impossible, right? We can work on it.
Well, we can't work on going backwards, that's my point.
I know
Forward.
the grandfather rule, but what about, this is not like little things. You're talking about lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else that wants to take a swing? All right, up the bat.
Yeah, just really quick, because everything's already been set. But these are my grandbabies that are living there.
Pull the mic toward you.
Yeah,
close.
these are my grandbabies that are living there, and I understand the laws in place and that the pool cover is a safe mechanism when it's closed. But what we're struggling with is the fact that we are counting on a 14 or 16-year-old babysitter that's going to close that every single time they take a child in to go to the bathroom, leaving my grandbabies vulnerable during those minutes. And that's the problem. We understand when it's closed, it's safe. But it's not safe when it's open. And we're relying on teenagers and 12-year-olds that live there, and the babysitters or the older sister that's just going to run in for a minute, get a phone call, and that's when those accidents happen. We all know that. We've seen too many reports of children dying all summer long, and I don't want that to be my grandbaby. So I do ask that you reconsider it.
So I urge you to also speak with the neighbor.
Thanks. Hi there, my name is Courtney Mills. I'm the mother of the situation that's going on. We have talked to the neighbors plenty of times. We've expressed our concern. Like I said earlier, I was the teacher that worked at Red Bell at the time when the child drowned in Plymouth Township. And I've expressed that to them. My husband was we grew up in this area. We actually met on the Salem swim team. We were high school swimmers, high school sweethearts, everything, and we are not allowed to put a fence in. I've been fighting with my HOA to try to allow me to put a fence in, and they are still blocking it. They thought that you guys would not approve the fence, or they thought that you guys would make them put up a fence, not realizing the law did allow for the safety covers. But again, the safety cover has to be shut. It has to be in place for it to be used. We've already witnessed it. My husband said a month that this pool's been open. It's been less than a month. They've already had it open twice without any adult outside. They had their 13-year-old out there once, and then their 7-year-old by himself once. We went up to them, to the wife, and asked her and said, you know what, the law says that an adult needs to be outside when this is, that's what it says in the law, because I was the one that talked to Ken actually starting in June, because as soon as I figured this out, this didn't make sense to me, it didn't add up. And the wife was very defensive, very upset with us, and doesn't understand our position at all, which is shocking to me as a mother. I don't quite understand it. I wasn't planning on getting up here, so I apologize to all of you. I'm a little shaky. I don't like to do this. So I appreciate you all listening to me. But I know you said that it does take a little bit more creativity to work with the law, but there are communities within our area that do not allow this. So Michigan is one of only 8 states in the United States that allows for these covers. Most of these states require 2 barriers, being a safety cover along with a fence that's at minimum of 4 feet high with very limited gaps. There's a reason for it. There are kids that are drowning. I am watching my kids. I was a teacher in Plymouth Canton for years until I had my children. Now I stay home with them. And I am on them like you wouldn't believe. But they can run in every direction. I'm sure all of you have had experience with children in one way or another, and you know it just takes a second. I've already talked to the neighbor. We've talked to them multiple times at length and expressed our concern, and they have little to no care for this, for our safety, for our children's safety, and that is it. And they know that they are within the law, and therefore that is the end of it. We ask you to please look deeply and to get creative with it. Thank you.
I do have a question for council. So the law states that that the pool is legal if they have one of these covers. What if it's shown that the pool is open, unattended? Is there any consequences to that?
Pass an ordinance, fining them.
Or is there in the existing law? Let's just talk about the existing law first, and then subsequent to that, your point, very well taken, can we pass an ordinance to say if you leave it unattended, that there's some sort of remedy?
$500 fine.
That would be a regulation of private property, which would fall within the purview of the zoning ordinance. I'm looking at the zoning ordinance right now. It does contain a provision for swimming pools in residential districts. I have not checked the Michigan residential code yet. That one would be a little more intricate for me to look at. But the zoning ordinance does require a fence in accordance with the regulations of the state of Michigan. So depending on what state law says, if state law says a fence is not required if they have the automatic
That's what it states, yeah.
I haven't independently.
I know you
read
haven't,
that.
but I know our building inspector has, and talked to a couple of us about it. So my charge to you then is if the law says that it's legal for them to have this in this fashion, but what if it's left unattended? Is there a remedy or for the municipality or someone to take action, whether it's civilly or, that's my charge, is to find that out.
Okay.
No, we can't answer it right
No, I know we can't.
I can give you some thoughts that I have right now. It could be deemed a private nuisance by the neighbors, which would mean.
An attractive nuisance.
Well, kind of like the RV.
Yeah, but the RD is specifically precluded by the zoning ordinance. The swimming pools are permitted by the zoning ordinance.
Okay, so you will look into this for us?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we will follow up on it, but there are no guarantees or promises. In the meantime, I'm distressed that your neighbor is that insensitive and calloused. It's too bad that we have people like that living here. So, all right, let's go to the next item, which is the budget, I think. Let me look.
General government, F1.
Yep. The 2026 general government proposed budgets. Brian Kamler from Plant Moran and Carol Rashawn, our finance director, will be supporting us here. This is our annual road to approving a budget by the end of December or earlier.
There we go. Good evening. Nice to see you again. A couple weeks ago when I was here, we covered the public safety portion of the general fund, as well as some other public safety related, less significant funds. Today, we're going to cover the rest of the general fund, as well as the opioid settlement and the capital improvement funds. Those will be quite quick. Related to the general fund, so we've already covered about 65-70% of general fund by talking about public safety. 16 million and change of this $23.5 million budget is related to public safety. The rest of general fund is made up of predominantly the folks that work out of this building. So all of the supervisor's office, clerks, treasurers, some DPW activity, et cetera, predominantly wages and fringes, as you can see here. 71% of the general fund is all people cost, with the majority of the remainder being made up of various professional services, whether that's outside engineering or building or accounting or audit or anything else that the township would have to outsource. A much smaller portion is related to capital outlay, although the capital projects this year are about $800,000 less than what's in the current 2025 budget. Next slide, please. So in total, the proposed 2026 general fund budget is $458,000 less than the current budget for 25. But as I mentioned before, $800 and some thousand of capital outlay was included in 25. That's not recurring in 26. So even though in total it's going down, the total expenditure is down by 1.9%. If you would just adjust for that change in capital outlay, it's a 1.7% increase on everything else, which is still substantially less than inflation has been for the past year. So this is evident of the township proposing to tighten its belt a bit, as it were, and do what you can in order to control costs. Next slide, please. So I mentioned 71% are people costs. That is perfectly normal for a municipality this size. I would expect it to be anywhere between 65 and 80%. The salaries, wages, and employer taxes, $11.6 million. An increase is included for 3% pay increases. On the health insurance side, 5.7% increase over the current year is one of the lowest that I've seen of all of my clients this year. The medical community is really ratcheting up the cost of insurance, and so I'd be quite pleased with only 5.7%.
Before you leave this page,
Yes.
the 2 new positions in police department, I'm having a hard time with that. We didn't add any positions, so help me out, Carol. Is this an accounting reconciliation?
We added them we had them in the budget, we filled them this year. So those 2 new hires are gonna carry into next year. So when we put this together, they hadn't been hired.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not 2 additional people to be added in '26. They're already here
The
today.
headcount allocation was there, but the people were not in place.
Correct.
The expenditures have not been incurred until now. All right.
Your retirement benefits, your contributions to the defined benefit plan are dictated by MERS. So they have an actuarial valuation every year, and they tell you what you must contribute. So there really isn't any debate or discussion on that. For those employees that are part of the defined contribution plan, it is set at 15% of their salaries, and that totals out to a little over $900,000 for the year. Next slide, please.
But right in this budget, we're not proposing to put any more money in OPEB?
Correct.
No extra, correct. You'll still be paying your OPEB real costs, the retiree health care for existing people.
Right, no lump
without an
sum.
additional contribution.
But in the past, in the past 6, 7 years, we've paid extra into the OPEB.
Correct.
In order to stay right with the state.
We put a plan in place years ago that said $250,000 through the 2024 calendar year. We did another extra year last year of $250,000, but we are doing 0 this year.
My only concern with that is that we don't fall short going forward. That's it's one of these things where like, well, I'm just gonna kick the can down the road.
Sure.
Am I doing what I need to do in order to stay solvent going forward?
Yeah, I'm not sure what your current funding percentage is. That's something we can look at and get back to you.
29, isn't it?
I
think
don't
it
know
was.
the answer.
I don't remember exactly the numbers.
It's 29.
Right.
It's just a concern, that's all.
By the year 2035, you've got to get to 40%, right?
Right.
So as of right now, it's like 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so right now, you can continue to go interest, and at the end of 2035, if you can hit 40%, that's good. I mean, to me, I would rather have a lot more, but 40% is okay.
Well, that keeps us cool with the state is what
Right,
that does.
right,
That
exactly.
doesn't mean that we're fulfilling our obligation, and that's my concern.
We're
is-
fulfilling our
exactly right.
obligation to pay benefits, and we'll continue to do that.
I'm concerned about pay-as-you-go and then falling short, that's all.
Okay. Moving on to capital outlay, these are all items that were discussed a couple weeks ago as part of the public safety portion of the budget. The largest one there under fire, the EMS Plus program, so that is a variety of equipment. So we'll be expensing the whole thing, but we're financing it over 5 years. So there's proceeds from debt that offsets the capital outlay this year, that nets to 0. 2026 through 2030, you'll be paying debt service on that amount 1/5 per year. Now, on the revenue side, $23.3 million. You'll see on a subsequent slide where that compares to the expenses. But this should come as no surprise. You're predominantly funded by property taxes, with funding from the state and from the federal government being the number 2 portion. There are a variety of charges for services here and there, for things that you do for certain parts of the population within the township. But predominantly, you're being funded by property taxes and Michigan state share revenue, which comes from statewide sales tax. And as we'll see on another slide, I believe you're all aware that the state budget is still being debated, depending on which group you're listening to. Some are supporting an increase in state share revenue, some are supporting a decrease. They have 7 days to get this figured out before the end of the state's current fiscal year and the beginning of the next. The intention, I'm sure, is to get that worked out, but where it will stand 7 days from now, your guess is as good as mine.
And so all the things we're putting forward here is really contingent on us getting revenue sharing. And then, of course, the legislature is talking about making cuts in other areas. And then are we going to get the necessary funds to fund like elections? I mean, we still don't know. In the last go around, we received a lot of money for elections because of new changes in the election laws. However, we don't know if that's going to go forward.
Correct.
So we could end up $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 less in revenue than we thought.
Yes.
Carol, let's take a pause here. We're not booking any revenue for elections reimbursement from the state of Michigan. This budget assumes we're going to pay it all, and $50,000 is at risk on a tentative basis with the current calculation if the state decides to do the blow me up scenario, but it's still part of negotiations from now till 7 days plus.
Right.
So we are not in grave jeopardy with this budget if the state upends the table. We're planning for that.
Well, we have the fund in the
budget.
general fund.
We have
we have money in the
budget.
in a fund balance that for some reason, if they don't come forward with stuff, or this budget, of course, doesn't talk about emergencies. I mean, you can end up with another $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $100,000 in things that you unaccounted for expenditures that's not being allotted for in this. Like there's no money in this for building. There's no building maintenance money in here.
Carol, come up to the podium here, please. We still have money in the improvement, is it called the improvement
Township revolving
for
fund.
buildings?
Yes, there's 50,000 for fire, 50 for police, 50 for Township Hall, and 50
This
for
year.
water and sewer.
No,
It's sitting in the fund. If something comes up for each of those areas, we can transfer from the Township revolving fund over to the general fund to
It's
cover those.
allocated. You just rattled off $250,000. So we are protected.
And there's still fund balance in addition to that if there's something catastrophic that happens.
Yeah, there's about 8 million. If something bad happens, we'll still have 8 million left.
Next slide, please. So taxes, your number one source of revenue, 3.5% increase over today. You can see on the slide how that is split between the operating, police, and fire millages. State revenue sharing, we've just discussed. Charges for services, we're probably being a little on the conservative side, but I think that's appropriate. 2025 has been a very good year for these particular services. What is being budgeted for 26 is consistent with 2024. So, realistically, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that we would do better than 24, maybe not as good as 25. And then that extra revenue can offset any of these other expenditures that could pop up. For interest income, the budget is for $650,000. That's more than the current budget for 2025. And you might say, well, Brian, I just heard that the Fed is going to cut interest rates. How is this possible? Well, the current budget for 25, you're going to exceed.
Yeah.
So the fact that we are budgeting more than 25, it's still probably going to be less than the actual amount for 25.
And that was intentional.
Yes.
Say that again. So 2025 budget,
We budgeted 600 and,
We're coming in at 650.
no, we're coming in considerably higher than that. I don't have the number in
I think it was over 800, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I have a question
Yeah,
on
I
the
didn't-
taxes.
Yeah.
Could you explain the 3.5% increase on millages that are fixed? What am I missing?
Well, that's the increase of your taxable value.
Okay.
Headley, not Headley, Proposition A.
Proposition A.
So you're gonna see what you're gonna see later tonight is our millage rate actually decreases because of Headley, but the value of the properties across the township went up, so that's why that goes up.
Okay. Thank you.
Next slide, please. So compared to the current year, revenue is expected to increase 1.5%, $344,000. But as we discussed, there is definitely there's still some swag in this today related to the state and what they end up doing, as well as what the federal government ends up doing. There's talk of shutdowns at both levels. So there is still much debate to be had at both the state and federal level, and we just have to sit and wait until they sort it out. So really, this is the grand finale for the general fund. What does all of this mean to our fund balance? So the 26 budget does include just a little bit, $170,000 more of expense than revenue. That is significantly down from where we started a couple months back. Once there's the cutting and the negotiations, et cetera, et cetera. That is the lowest that you would have used in the last 3 years, if you do end up using that. Although I do like to look at budgets for expenses and just know that we'll finish some amount under that. You're not going to spend 100% of your budget. So you're authorizing your department heads to be able to do what they need to do, but the expectation is they will come in under budget. So I would say 170,000 is probably within the statistical margin of error, and this is pretty darn close to being a balanced revenue equals expense budget. Pretty darn close. The resulting fund balance, if this were to happen exactly as budgeted, which of course it won't, but if it happened exactly as budgeted, you would end up with fund balance of $7.8 million, which is 33% of the annual budget. And that is in excess of what the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, would recommend as a minimum of fund balance. So 33% to me is comfortable. I don't find it to be an affluent number, but it's certainly not a number that I would sweat or lose sleep about. So I would be very comfortable if you were to maintain 33% going forward.
What is the minimum, 15?
2 months of general fund expenditures, so 2 divided by 12 is 16.67.
Yeah.
So, I think for the past 6 years, when I used to be the treasurer, we always, at the end of the year, we save money. Then in 2024, we lost money. In 2025, we're losing money. And what you're suggesting is in 2026, we're going to lose money again, correct? Okay. So my question is, we've got roughly $8,000 in the funding. That's the last one we're going to have for $8,000. We're starting to lose money is my point. My suggestion is next year, or actually the following year in 2027, we're probably going to lose about 1.2 million.
What do you say that?
That's my prediction.
What do you say, 1.2 million?
We're going to lose money because this keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah.
But we're using fund balance.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
fund will continue to go up.
I know.
So my whole point, and I don't have the exact statistic and everything, my whole point is.
The number that will go up is
The expense.
the expense number, right?
Yeah, because.
That's what you're saying.
You were saying the fund balance was going down, right?
Yeah, actually, could we go to the next slide? You'll see a graph of
Money
this.
next year. My whole point is, going forward, we're going to continue to lose money until we get another mortgage.
Millage.
A millage, excuse me, a millage.
Which is a tax increase.
My question is, at one point do you think we're going to need a new millage?
I have
You
not
don't
gotten
know.
into that at all.
Okay.
We've not done any kind of forecasting. But if you'll go to the next slide, please, you can see the last 4 years in the budget here for 5.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, for 26. So in 22, 23, the township's general fund had a surplus for the year. That's, the green line is revenue.
Right.
The bar graph is the expenses. Starting in 24, you're right, started to use some fund balance. 25 is projecting to lose some additional fund balance. But you'll notice that that amount, the amount north of that green line, is where you're spending greater than your revenue. The planned 26 budget is significantly less than the budget for 25. And as I said, within 170,000 on a $23 million budget, that's within the margin of error. That's basically break even. You should be expecting your department heads to come in somewhere between 1% and 5% under budget. So those expenditures, and we're being conservative on the revenue side. So barring some kind of state level catastrophe with state funding, I would expect that 26 would end up in a surplus. It's that close.
But Mark's point is well taken. At some point, we're
We're gonna run out of money.
yeah, because revenue is not growing. Expenses are out, the growth in expenses is outpacing the growth in revenue. And that will happen again in 27.
Yeah.
Largely because of collective bargaining agreements and the cost of them.
Yep.
That's why
Is that
we,
what you're seeing as well?
Excuse me?
It seems like there might be some difference of opinion. Are you seeing that as well?
Well, I would say almost every community in Michigan, the cost of people is growing faster than the property tax revenue that is generated. That's the problem with Proposal A and Headley interaction. Most communities that I work with are absolutely having to tighten their belt every single year. Where you're at with fund balance of 33%, it's approximately double the minimum recommendation. I would never want to be at the minimum. I always, being conservative, I prefer to have approximately what you have. But you're going to have, like most communities, every single year, you're going to have difficult discussions during the budget in deciding what do we have to have versus what we'd like to have. And there will be a negotiation as to, is it something that we need or just something that would be nice? And so 26 as proposed, to me, is very strong. The fact that you have reversed the trend of 24 to 25 is a positive to me. But absolutely, you're going to have to constantly watch all costs because the way our system is set up here in Michigan, it's set up to put that pressure on you. Revenues are not allowed to grow at the same rate as expenses. That's just the way our broken financial model works.
yeah, the two major amendments to our Constitution, Headley in 1978, statewide referendum that put a complex cap calculation on taxes, and Proposition A of 1994.
You're welcome.
Are designed to slow the growth of taxation and allow people to maintain their farms and their homes so that they can continue living here and not be taxed out of their homes in an effort to grow the size of their local or state government's going crazy.
So what you're saying is that when your house doubles, your taxes don't double.
Exactly,
So-
they used to.
So
Well, not double, it would
prior to
be
Prop
50%.
Prior to Prop A, when you see the information on your tax where it says your assessed value went up X, your taxable went up that much. And then when I was in the legislature, we froze them in 93 so they wouldn't go up and people would be taxed out. And then in 94, we did Prop A, which the public overwhelmingly voted for correctly. And so that keeps the property taxes low.
Proposition A cut residential property taxes in half.
Half,
And then started over again.
right. And so the only time they go up is if you make a major improvement or you sell your house or go buy another one. But what this indicates is that because of that slowing down, you run into this dichotomy where your costs can go up more than what you can actually tax. For 3 years, that went up to the maximum 5%. And now it's more at the CPI, which is about 3.2 or whatever. So as the CPI goes down, which we would love for that to happen, the money you bring in goes down, along with the fact that our investments then, as the economy improves, you get less interest. And so you end up with the situation that Mark is talking about, where you're more than likely going to have expenditures go above what your ability to bring in revenue is.
And our job is to manage that without always asking for more money.
Amen.
At least that's my job.
Okay, next slide.
Yes, please. All right, the opioid settlement fund. So as a result of many, many lawsuits, there are many, many pharmaceutical companies that are paying a settlement related to the opioid epidemic. The township receives a piece of that settlement. That money can only be used for what is listed here on the screen. To date, next slide. So to date, you've received approximately $50-some thousand, but it's coming in chunks. It will continue to come in chunks over the next several years. This year, each settlement has a different timetable with a different spread. State of Michigan does provide a schedule for all of the settlements for all of the communities, so you can see what you are currently set to get over the next dozen or more years. There is a plan this year to spend some of the money, approximately $14,000, on some community outreach and other assistance to the community related to opioid responses. Next slide, please. So here's the approximately 50, it's almost 54,000 that you will have received so far. There's another, as of now, $150,000 coming through 2038. But it is very restricted as to how it can be spent. Do not think that this can go anywhere to general fund to offset any of your normal operational costs. It cannot. Next slide, please. The capital improvement fund, it's more for emergencies, or it's that couple $100,000 that has been set aside, $50,000 per department, in order to handle certain things that end up being considered critical, things that weren't part of the original general fund budget. If you'll scroll to the next slide, please. So you can see that as of today, there are no budgeted expenditures because we don't know of anything at this point in time that's not already included in general fund or one of the other funds. So there's approximately $250,000 there that can be used, can be drawn on in the event that one of the other funds has some kind of financing issue or unknown expense pops up. Certainly would hope that there would be other ways of absorbing that within the existing fund, but it's really nice to know that $250,000 is sitting here just in case. And so that concludes the three funds that I was planning on discussing today. Is there any other questions from the board?
Anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, next item is the conditional rezoning change for what's known as Gray's Greenhouse, which is at the northeast corner of Joy Road and Lily Road at the far southern end of Plymouth Township, bordering Canton Township near Metatol Airport. And this proposal is a conditional rezoning and a planned unit development, PUD. They have been here before. The background information is the same. We're going to get a presentation from the applicant, and then we can discuss it. And we will hear from the audience also, and then when that happens, we'll urge you to be as brief as possible because we don't want to be here till midnight. Although I can do that, but it's not fair to my colleagues. We have the applicant here, and the planning is going to give their pitch first. Is that what you want to do, Laura? Or summarize it in a way that makes it easy to understand?
Yes, thank you. Evening, trustees and Supervisor Kermy. Laura Haw with McKenna.
Laura, is your mic on?
It is, yes. It doesn't come any closer.
No indoor voices.
As the supervisor stated, this item was presented at the August 26th board meeting and it was postponed. The applicant is proposing to conditionally rezone 8820 Lily Road from the R2A multiple family residential to OS office to be developed as a planned unit development. The applicant is proposing multiple conditions on the rezoning to reduce impacts on the surrounding area. No new information has been included within your packet. However, the planning department did receive one additional letter of support for this project. This is from Erin Kosnan, who is a longtime resident of the township. She states, I support the proposed rezoning for the following reasons. The proposal helps preserve a historically significant business and property. Gray's Greenhouse has been treasured by generations of residents of Plymouth Township and beyond, and should remain for future generations to enjoy. The proposal creates a valuable community space, which I look forward to utilizing. I support the plans for a park-like atmosphere with walking paths, picnic space, and connection to nature. The proposed rezoning of this property is economically advantageous for Plymouth Township. It will create opportunities for jobs and housing, attract visitors from outside Plymouth Township, and sustain small businesses. This vibrant campus model will be a welcomed asset to our community. I strongly encourage your approval of this proposed rezoning.
That letter is also in your board packet as the first page of the documents.
Okay. If I can, Mark. Trustee Quinn, you can pass that down if you'd like to see that for the recording secretary. I'd also just like to clear up some misinformation that has been shared on planned unit developments. Planned unit developments are not a loophole for developers. It is not a loophole in the zoning ordinance, and it does not grant an applicant special privileges. The planned unit development is a legal development option that has been utilized by the township and other communities for decades. The township maintains control at all stages of development in a PUD. This includes the preparation and all details of a site plan, which is based on the township zoning ordinance. The specific standards of the PUD are located in Article 23 of the zoning ordinance. If you look at the site design standards in that article, they're actually more stringent than the other zoning districts of the township. This means that there are additional requirements placed on an applicant by going through the PUD process. Included in your packet are the 2 resolutions for approval. That was recommended, again, by the Planning Commission. The applicant is here this evening with a presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the board for Laura now?
So when it comes to the PUD process, if the PUD is approved, that doesn't necessarily mean that the design of the site would be approved, the proposed design, correct?
The stage of this application is not at the site plan level. So the PUD option tonight is granting more of the general uses of the site. The applicant would still be required to come before the Planning Commission with a site plan, and also this township board, again, with the site plan and the PUD development contract.
When does the 1-year clock start and when does it end for the PUD approval?
There are several clocks. The first would start upon approval of the PUD option, which is up for a vote tonight. Yes, there's a 1-year clock to submit the site development plan.
And if the PUD, if, for example, addressing issues like parking are all part of the site development plan step in the process?
That's correct.
All right, let's have the presentation from the applicant. Applicants, plural.
So is this gonna be a full, same thing they did last time, or?
I hope not.
Hopefully it's better. Thank you. Improve.
Yeah, hopefully.
Mark was here, right?
Mark wasn't here.
No, he wasn't here last meeting.
Oh, that's right, he was here.
He was here.
Yeah.
What is your target length of presentation? How many minutes do you think you'll need? 20?
Yeah,
All right, try to target 20 minutes
sounds good.
or less.
I don't think we want to be here late either, so we're all on the same team.
Well, this is important, so I'll stay as long as needed.
Sure. I did. Sorry.
Did it work?
I just want to
Moving?
make sure this works. Okay, perfect.
All right, I don't have a lot of voice tonight, so I have my tea next to me, and we'll see how far we get. All righty. Hello, and thank you for having us back. My name is Rachel Nish, and I'm the current owner of Gray's Greenhouse. My primary goal tonight is to secure the next step in preserving a collection of historic structures here in Plymouth Township that house the most vibrant and authentic community I've seen in the area. Community is a word that gets thrown around a lot. Plenty of people work very hard to create new things that foster community. Things that require memberships, regular meetings, are built around fundraisers or causes. Because they know that a robust community means personal longevity, an enjoyable place to live, and a healthier tax base. But the really cool thing about the Grays community is that it occurs so naturally. And while you'd expect it to be made up entirely of plant enthusiasts, the common theme is actually the desire to have conversations, just to talk, in a way that is warm and real and without pretense. We have plenty of regulars who have never bought a plant. They might bring us cookies when the season changes, or stop in on the way to visit their mom in Livonia, or drop off perennial starts in a takeout container. That is the sort of community that this sort of community needs to worry about financial viability is profoundly unfortunate. But here we are. As far as I can tell, the greenhouse business cannot support 6.5 acres and 3 historic structures on its own. But I am not ready to solve this problem by allowing the greenhouse to be demolished, or at the very least, sequestering it to a tiny island surrounded by a traditional multifamily housing development. I have brought Adam, Kristen, and Kyle on board to develop a more creative solution. A campus of educational, recreational, and retail spaces that can generate the revenue necessary to support the greenhouse, but that equally importantly is conducive to the Grays community secret sauce, which is simply integrity. I hope that the board can take the leap and say yes to the possibility of doing things differently to protect the important things that we already have.
I met with you guys before. I was here 2 meetings ago, but Adam Huttenstein, I'm the owner of Michiganense Natives, which is on the site at Grays as well. We occupy kind of the eastern portion right now, east central portion of that 6.5 acres. We've been there for 2 years. We've seen really, really strong growth this year over year, upwards of 80 to 90%. So that's, a very good optimistic view of the future. And such, we've only got 2 data points for the last 2 years, but this is an area that's densely populated. There's a lot of people that frequent the greenhouse. There's a synergy between Grays and our business. So basically, I'm just here to sort of represent Michiganense and then the ecological impacts that this development may have on the
So
area.
what is your business again? What is your?
Michiganense Natives, we grow native plants. So trees, shrubs, native plants, about 200 species, all local to our area, Southeast Michigan. Yeah.
He was in Iceland last trustees meeting.
I can't hear you.
I was here 2 meetings ago, is what Kyle was saying, but not the last one. I was at the planning meeting, sorry, but not the last trustees meeting. So, quick bio.
I'm Kristen Arthurs. I'm one of the members of the property group working on the Grays campus. I'm also a pediatric speech-language pathologist in the area, so have particular interest in designing and running programming on the site that will support my professional expertise, or allow my professional expertise to support children and families in the area in a meaningful way.
And I'm Kyle Kiefaber with Grays. I'm one of the partners in this group. I own an architecture firm locally, Faber Design Co. And I've shortened this up from last time quite a bit, but I think it's important just to note that, I have lived in rural Indiana, Charleston, South Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Plymouth, Michigan, and have done projects, professional projects, been a part of these types of meetings in all of those different locations, and also across the Midwest and the United States, working on other different projects, and have kind of seen the gamut as far as zoning and restrictions and that sort of thing goes. I've worked on a lot of high-profile civic, public-facing, and historic preservation projects, both locally and across the country. And I didn't mean to leave this in here, but this is a house that we did. Chris and I did in Nashville, where we bought an abandoned home. And instead of tearing it down like a lot of other people did in the neighborhood, we tore the roof off and added a second story to it as part of a story that we had our own stories from, but as a way to get our hands dirty and save a structure that we thought might be cool. Also in my family, my great-grandmother taught school at this schoolhouse and has been in my family since 1883. And my mom currently owns a cut flower business there, and my dad has his 2 acres of wine grapes as his retirement hobby on that property. And I have personally replaced the roof, re-put in the windows, tore off the bell tower with one of my best friends with a van, and replaced it. And so this is just something that's kind of like in my blood. It's not in my blood to just let something be knocked over. And these sorts of things actually create stories and are very meaningful to me. So I just wanted to kind of share that as an intro to, my interests in this project and what makes me wake up excited about this project every day.
Yeah, so again, I think we've been over this a little bit last time, but for those of you who haven't heard the story of Gray's Greenhouse, it was built in 1928 by Alex Winnock, and actually stayed in his family for 3 generations. Alice's granddaughter is sitting here tonight, and she and her family had it for 3 generations until I purchased it in 2019. So it has a long history in Plymouth, and that's something you can't replace. So we're looking at some creative ways to bring it a little more support financially and with some other revenue streams that Kyle's going to talk about.
So this, again, we can go over this really quickly. This is the existing site, so it's 6.5 acres, and the buildings that are currently here, the 10,000 square foot greenhouse, the approximate 3,000 square foot boiler house. Sorry, my fingers are too fast. An existing barn, an existing house. These were both built in 1919. Tilly's Flower Farm currently operates right here, and Carrie, who is in the crowd here tonight, is a tenant of that. And then again, Michigan NC Natives, that's Adam's business that currently operates on the site. And this is just kind of the surrounding area and just showing the uses around the site. So we talked about this last time. These are our goals for the project. Allow continuation of Gray's community and greenhouse retail. So again, there's already a community of people that exists that are very interested in this project staying. Our second goal, preservation, sustainability of a historic greenhouse, barn, and house. And then to create a community asset that aligns with public and township interests. And so as a little bit of a flip and a way to kind of maybe speed this up a little bit is we just kind of want to talk about our key challenges. And so like when we first saw the issue that Rachel was dealing with, and we kind of, the 4 of us put our heads together and identified what these key challenges were and solutions, I just kind of wanted to kind of like maybe walk you through that. And I think that it will also help. One of the things that was brought up last time was just like, how is this going to work financially? I don't see how this works. Well, this is, kind of going back to our original notes, this kind of, I think, helps explain this a little bit. So the 3 key challenges that we had were that we have a 6.5 acre site with 4 buildings that has existed for 100 years that are being supported only by the greenhouse, which is a money issue. We have a medium density woodlands that is a majority of invasive species and scrub, and we live in a tree city, in a community that really values its trees and its woodlands. And then our third key challenge is we have a non-conforming zoning overlay that was placed on this site 10 plus years ago, even though the business has been existing there for over 100 years. So I'm going to talk about the first one here. Simplifying this down to a very key diagram, the greenhouse, all the money that's going into the greenhouse is supporting the 6.5 acres of site, the boiler house, the existing house, and the barn. And those are all like right now support spaces for things that are on the site. So all the money that's coming into the greenhouse is trying to preserve and maintain all of those things. It's really, really difficult. So currently on the site, there is Michigan NC Natives that's, since Rachel took it over, these are things that have happened. Michigan NC Natives has joined the site and pays lease to the property. Tilly's Flower Farm has joined and pays lease to the property. And Cosmos Market, which is a market that is in the porch of the house, pays lease to the property. Again, as Rachel can attest, that's just not quite enough to support all these things and the preservation that needs to happen. And so what needs to happen is, and this is part of our development, our site plan, is that right now the house is completely empty. Again, the barn is, supporting the space in the property. The boiler house is greenhouse support and houses an old boiler that's close to 100 years old that doesn't work in the basement and takes up, 250 square feet. There's another boiler there that, is getting old and it needs replaced and is in a spot that is kind of prohibiting extra space from being used. So what we really need is for those spaces to support the greenhouse instead of be supported by the greenhouse. And so some just like basic numbers just to kind of like show you what that might look like. There's about 9,000 square feet of space in the blue buildings that you see, or sorry, not the blue buildings, but the blue buildings and this barn. There's about 9,000 square feet of space. And so the average lease pricing for retail, office, restaurant in this area of Michigan averages between $16 per square foot on the super low end to $26,000 per square foot per year on the higher end. And so if we get 9,000 square feet actually utilized, that's $144,000 per year that we are bringing into the site that's helping to support these things. And for reference, a greenhouse retail lease per year, so that averages about $3 to $4 per square foot per year. So at a 10,000 square foot greenhouse, if we're leasing that out, that's going to bring in about $35,000. So just by utilizing the things that are currently on the site right now, it's almost 4 times the revenue that's currently coming into the site, just by using those key things. And so that's when we say, our first phase is to really develop the initial, phase 1 and the things that we have on our site currently. That's the plan. And so then the north half of the site comes after that. And, that also helps support, the park that we're also trying to do. So just as a quick diagram to describe that. There's a farm stop that we were looking at, so I went too quickly over this, but the barn and this restroom building, we are looking at making this the farm shop that we kind of talked about last time. Right now, on the initial plan, just because we have not changed it, it's right here, but the idea is to utilize that within the open barn space that's here, and then include a restroom space in there. So I'm going to turn it over to Kristen to talk about this. Her and Rachel both did a workshop, that talks about this model.
Yeah, so this farm stop model, again, a creative way to bring a revenue source, something that would attract residents to Plymouth Township and to sustain the property, is based off of the Argus Farm Stop in Ann Arbor. There was some buzz over the summer where the New York Times actually did a big piece on the farm stop model. Essentially a farmer's market with grocery store amenities. So we have the refrigeration, the sprayers, everything that keeps the produce sustained, so that you can shop there every day of the week outside of just, limited hours in one season. All of the data here is pulled from the Argus model, but has been well studied, especially with the University of Michigan right there. They have a pretty good pipeline of students always looking at different elements of the impact of this model. So it's built on a consignment model that's hugely advantageous to farmers. Farmers get 70% of their product sales in this model. By contrast, for a farmer selling to a grocery store chain, they're getting 15 cents to every dollar. So a huge economic impact for our farmers. The model also incorporates a cafe. 100% of the proceeds there stay with the farm stop, and for Argus, that's 2/3 of the revenue. So this is great for local farmers. It's great for the economy. Plymouth Township residents would be excited about this. Knowing that most of the produce that's for sale there is sourced within 50 miles of the site, with very few exceptions, all of those products are from the state of Michigan. So these are, again, data points from Argus. looking at 7 years of data, they paid out over $10 million to local farms and food producers. And that's increased the actual number of farms that are able to source the product direct to consumer. That the top 75 producers' sales range from $10,000 to $160,000 each. They really highlighted how that difference in a farmer's income could change their functioning. So they could expand growing operations over winter months through different technologies and greenhouses. And you can kind of follow the economic impact through there. It's good for everyone. And right now, in particular, local food is in a period of discovery. You see more online businesses, crop share, produce box businesses that are very commonly, in demand. And Argus, in the New York Times article, really highlighted that communities that already have existing farmers markets, your initial thought as well, does it compete? The residents who frequent the farmers market would be very excited to have this resource available with expanded hours, expanded days of the week year round. And they talked about how many of their farmers would drop off produce at the local farmers market and with the same truck go on to the farm stop. So there's plenty of supply to go around, and it gives them another avenue to market direct to consumer. This is looking again at additional expanded revenue streams. This is the existing boiler house. So we have the existing greenhouse. So we have 10,000 square feet here. And right now, with the layout of the boiler pipes, we can have an event space that hosts about 40 people max. So looking at some renovations to this existing structure, we can create 4,500 square feet of flexible use space. So this could be workshops by tenants on the site, thinking plant propagation, flower arranging, different, workshops that could be hosted, seminars unrelated even to the businesses already there. Events that could be rented, fundraising dinners for not-for-profits or other organizations, showers, small concerts, developmental play groups, which I'll get into a little more specifics of on the next couple slides, and then camps. So Play at Grays was an idea born from this passion for my professional expertise, speech-language pathology, and hearing from families every day that I'm supporting that they're looking for these social networking opportunities. Families more than ever, want their kids to foster social skills. And again, this project would connect other families to each other within the community. It would also develop and foster a love of nature within those same children and families. So this would be sensory-based play activities divided by age group, designed and facilitated by professionals in the field of child development. I love this quote looking at this model. So Dr. Karen Purvis, she's a prominent developmental psychologist, and she summarized that scientists have discovered that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain, unless it's done in play, in which case it only takes 10 to 20 repetitions. So think about the impact on kids. It's awesome, right? Okay, that's my part.
So again, going back to the goals, we just want to keep highlighting this, that, being able to kind of turn around that model of the greenhouse having to support everything and flip it back around allows us to do these goals that you're seeing here. And so I'm going to have Adam talk about this, but this addresses the second key challenge.
Yeah, so...
And here also. Down is how you get to your next slide. Okay. So you can go right to it.
Yeah, most of the feedback that we've gotten, at least in the sort of ecological standpoint, is the removal of trees. So a lot of the planning discussion was, people are picturing a development coming in, clearing the space, making sort of a whiteboard, and then re-adding in a handful of trees, like a typical development. We're going to take a different approach. We have heritage trees on the site, so you can see the big silver maple that's probably 300 years old. There are scattered, what I'll say is good trees, native trees throughout the property. However, due to the use of the land over the last 100 years, we saw the picture earlier that was like an orchard or a farm field. There's been disturbance, and in urban areas where there's disturbance, there's usually invasive species that come in. So not unique to our site, but we've got honeysuckle, buckthorn, tree of heaven, the typical usual suspects there. Oops. told me down. So I went out and did a tree survey. I called it unofficial tree survey, walking around identifying the species. I'm confident that I identified the species correctly, but when I say unofficial, we'll have to do for site planning and actual work, we'll do a much more formal one. We have less than 10 species on the property. A lot of those are early succession type species, which move in after disturbance. So kind of overlaying that with the list that the township has on the website of non-plantable or invasive trees. We've got tree of heaven. No one would ever plant tree of heaven, hopefully. We probably have 75 to 100 of those on site. White mulberry, which probably everyone has seen around. And then black cherry and box elder would be our better species, although box elder, pretty weedy, and it's on the not allowed or not recommended for Plymouth Township, but it's already there. Then so roughly 200, I would say, invasive trees on site. Then going to shrubs and small trees, it's too many to count. It's in the hundreds, if not thousands, a mixture of all those species. So the entire understory pretty much are those species. Again, not super unique, but on the scale of 3 or 4 acres of a woodland, it's a lot of actual trees or shrubs. So I estimated about 85% of the vegetation on site. And again, that's key, I think a key understanding, because our feedback has been removing trees. And so what I'm trying to show here is it's not just a quantity, it's a quality component too that we're going for. So I can't see these anyway, but I won't go into a ton of detail. I think the key thing we really want to talk about is a keystone species is a native plant species that has an outsized impact on its local ecosystem. So a lot of times you see trees, it's cover, they're producing oxygen, they're sequestering carbon from the air. However, they're not providing any beneficial food or quality habitat for species of wildlife that lives here. So keystone species, really, if you think of a Pareto analysis, they are well beyond their, a handful of species will provide a massive amount, a exponential amount of ecological value. So we want to add in 100 plus of those keystone trees, 20,000 native plants to a 1 acre meadow, which is a staggering amount. I can't prove this, but I don't know of any other development that has added that many specific high quality trees and native plants, at least in our area. And then 200 plus native shrubs and understory plants to kind of go with those keystone trees. So we will be, in essence, reinventing this wooded space, this woodland, and bringing it back to what it might have looked like 100 or 200 years ago before this disruption. So there's some species here. Again, this coincides pretty well with Plymouth Township's list of recommended trees. Those are keystone species. Those are ones, right from, actually, I think it may be Plymouth's list. But good quality trees regardless. And a fun fact here is those tree species, based on the work of Doug Tallamy, who's a scientist, I believe, at University of Delaware, has put out a lot of research the last 10 or 15 years, would support over 4,000 species of butterflies and moths, which is bird food, which feeds that entire food web in the upper left. So again, if we're saying this woodland is going to be destroyed or altered and the animals living there will be disrupted, we will more than offset that, probably exponentially, by adding in quality species like we have here.
Is that a bear up in the?
If we get a bear or a fox, we might get. But if we get a bear, that'd be pretty impressive. But yeah. Basically, it's showing plants. If you have oaks, you have acorns, you have squirrels, you have hawks. We've all had middle school science, but a lot of this is just lost in our day-to-day world. So again, just those numbers and big enough that everyone could read. 100 plus keystone trees. If it were up to me, I would plant 1,000. I just want to plant as many as I possibly can. The native plants, this part for me is a really, really big motivation and passion, I guess, of mine to restore this property.
I'm just curious, what is the name of your business? What does that mean?
Michiganense is the Latin name for Michigan. So plants are often referred to as by their Latin name. So the Michigan lily is Lilium michiganense. So that's kind of the inspiration.
Well, I study Latin and it didn't make the connection.
Well,
Whoops.
it's weird because Latin obviously originated well before Michigan, so it's like you had to invent the word or put the suffix onto Michigan. But
No, it's cool.
yeah. Then this one I think is probably more prevalent in, at least in the news or in people's minds, is I would imagine everyone's heard of the spotted lanternfly, which has done had a huge impact in Ohio, Pennsylvania. It's creeping our way. There's been sightings already in Michigan, or it's definitely here. Its host species happens to be the tree of heaven, which we have quite a few of. MSU has estimated potential future losses, 1.5 to 8.8 million in the first few years. I've seen numbers as high as the tens or hundreds of millions potentially to the wine industry in the state. So these things come in by the droves and come for the tree of heaven. So
I killed all of our tree of heaven on this township property in the
Nice.
last 2 weeks.
Okay. Good job. So yeah, tree of heaven, buckthorn, honeysuckle are also allelopathic, which I mentioned at the planning meeting. But they basically release chemicals to kill other species of plants and vegetation near them. So they'll, over time, will just take over and become the only thing there, which we kind of already see in our woodland there. Another angle, I think Canton Township has had some attention a little bit with rat infestation, and this is another thing that I think is a misconception. When you plant a meadow or you plant native plants, people think, oh, rats are gonna come in here and they're gonna hide in there. And it's counterintuitive because actually you're bringing in so much more of the ecosystem. We're gonna bring hawks, raptors, predators are gonna be encouraged to come to these sites or to our site. And that balance will, if there even were rats here, that would sort of balance things out. So I just wanted to address that, and the study that I cited, the lack of ecological diversity in urban areas is what often contributes to rats. So we eliminate this habitat, predators leave, we fill it in with restaurants and dumpsters and trash, and rats like to live where people are. So just a misnomer I want to address there.
And can I confirm that? I don't mean to take up time, but we where I live, there's a farm, or used to be Farmer Jay's pumpkin field. It's similar, 6 to 7 acres. And it's been overgrown now for the last year because we're waiting for this Plymouth Farms development to come in. Meanwhile, the plants are like this tall. And when I go out and garden, I consistently feel like I'm hearing seagulls. Mm-hmm. And turns out I actually looked up and they're hawks. And I never heard them before, never seen them before. But to your point, I think they're finding stuff. There's some new ecological pattern happening in my backyard, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
The high-pitched kind of screech.
Yeah, it sounded like I was at the beach.
It's a Cooper hawk or a sparrow hawk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper's hawk or sparrow hawk.
How are you gonna do all this on such a small parcel? Because most of the parcel is taken up by buildings and parking, and that's only the center.
I know, we're about to get 19 homes in my backyard on 6 acres.
I think, I think one thing, and Kyle can jump in if he wants, but I think the rendering is a little bit deceptive in the sense that the buildings are more prominent there so that you can see them. So if you were to put these trees into that, you would kind of block the view of it. But really a forest for 100 trees, 200 trees, and Carrie can jump in. She's in the forestry division of the DNR. 100 trees will fit in a half an acre in naturally occurring. So, us having even
How
2
many
acres
parking
to play with.
spaces are on this diagram? I think like 60 or so.
Let's see if I can get back. So there we've got
Above, below.
84 in the bottom right.
Okay.
221.
Around 200, I think.
Okay.
Scattered
So
across.
You're gonna have an entrance off of Lily and one off of Joy,
Off
right?
Joy, correct, yeah.
And did that change from the last presentation, or is this the same?
No, it's the same.
Same.
So what is the talk about an amphitheater?
I'm sorry, what?
An amphitheater?
Mm.
You're asking was there talk about an amphitheater?
Yeah, it
I
was.
don't think we've
It was
specifically.
mentioned in the rock that you were gonna put in a 3,600 square foot amphitheater.
I think it's in the, did not come from us,
No.
but there is up to, in the,
Yeah, and that's where I saw it as well.
it's 3,600 of covered pavilion for events, for schools, libraries. It would go in the meadow, and that was, I think, on the next slide that you had.
But it's
We were
not
just
an
gonna talk about the
amphitheater.
actual park aspect of that center of the site.
So
And
it's a pavilion, it's not an amphitheater.
Is it tiered seating, or you don't know yet?
no, I mean, amphitheater was not a word that I don't think any of us have used, but
John, what do you need?
I'd like to make a comment.
Oh, all right.
I've listened to all of my colleagues.
So are you done? Well, hold on. Is your question answered?
No.
Bob?
I'm not sure. You don't have plans for an amphitheater? I mean,
Sorry, say that one more time.
We don't have plans specifically for an amphitheater, no. I wonder if maybe that was taken from comments we've made about, having event spaces or having, park space for music or gathering spaces, but we have not designed an amphitheater, or I don't think talked about an amphitheater. Would you like an amphitheater?
No.
Okay, got it.
It won't be Pine Knob for the west side.
Well, that's what, the article that was in the Rock yesterday, said you were including a 3,600 square foot amphitheater. So he got it wrong. Okay.
Yeah. It didn't have Adam in it either, so.
They got a few things.
Okay. All right.
John, go ahead.
Okay. I have spent about 11 hours reading, researching, and walking the grounds for 2 hours. Catherine Gottschall English set up an appointment with me, with Rachel, and with Kyle, and I walked the grounds. I even walked into the barn where the Right Reverend Father Charles Kermey will preside over weddings. But let's go to the legal hard issue. Kevin briefed us on this, and I don't like to have people repeat things to me because I was taught, a word to the wise is sufficient. But the conclusion of his 3-page memo is that a PUD approval may be revoked by the township in any case where the conditions of such approval have not been or not be complied with. I'm excited about this project. I'm voting yes for it, and in a few minutes I'll be glad to offer a positive motion for same. I'm surprised you haven't recruited the Didiers, who know Ann Arbor, who know Mathi Gardens, and who know Grand Rapids. And speaking of that, I mentioned to you the Nellis Farm. Kristen has asked me to recruit you to drive over to Holland, Michigan, to see a development that is probably about 20 times larger than this at the Nellis Farms of Holland. Now, let's talk about criteria. A very nice person, very bright lady, asked me to read a 159-page book. And my wife sat down and said, "You're going to read it." Okay, written by an MBA. The criteria for a development like this are, you're going to be attracting business. You're going to engage youth. You're not going to deceive yourself. You're going to provide a shopping area. You're going to paint. You're going to cooperate with the community. You're going to be living into the future by acknowledging the past. You're going to include seniors. And you're going to do some new and innovative things. You're going to break out of your shell of the complacency of this community. And finally, you're going to accept responsibility for enhancing our quality of life with this development. You are moving the entrance, as you indicated to me on the board. I'm used to boards as a lawyer, and I wish you would have brought that board here tonight.
Sorry, it's right here.
But I'm excited.
All right. You guys are done with what you have to say? Or you have something to wrap up?
I'd be glad to offer if you would like me to read same.
We can be.
Well, wait a minute.
Public is.
We can be.
Take
Yeah.
2 minutes and just summarize and then,
Yeah, I think the last piece of what Adam was gonna get to was just that, like, obviously he's extremely knowledgeable about the plant, nature, ecology side of this, but also the park is, we're providing a park to the public with private money. That's the goal. And, it's a place where people can come. The Plays with Grays will, have things there. People can come lay out a picnic blanket, bring their family. People can sit there, read a book, walk around, exercise, etc. It doesn't, an acre and a half or acre and a quarter is that dotted line there. So there's going to be pathways throughout the whole rest of the site. That's the goal. So it's going to be more than an acre and a quarter of technically parkland. And I guess the very last thing that I just want to say is, like, this business has existed for, 100 years. And by no fault of its own, there was a non-conforming zoning overlay put over the top of it. And, at least 10 years ago, this is just from the 2015, master plan. And then also in the, similar master plan documents, I don't know, is this working? Maybe I got cut off for time here. But there was that quote that I showed last time about how preservation was very, very important to Plymouth Township. And the only option that we really have is, oh boy, yeah, I'm shut up for time. The only option we really have is a PUD. That, when we first sat down with Laura and we said, this is what we want to do to try and, make this site work and to create, preservation. A PUD is the only option that we have due to the restrictiveness of the zoning laws that we have. And so, we've done everything within our power to try and show that we have a ton of public support, both within the township and outside of the township. And we're just hopeful for your support.
all right, so do we have any questions from the board now other than what we've had? Otherwise, we will go to comments from the public.
Well, I just wanted to emphasize what Laura said, that the PUD, I think it was alluded to at the last meeting in regards to this, is that it's some type of loophole that we've gotten entangled with in the township and gotten in trouble with in other developments, but it's just not the case. And there's no special privileges being, granted here. And I would point my colleagues to pages 3 and 4 of the findings of fact. And it's just inarguable that the development would otherwise not be achieved without the PUD option. And that it's following everything that we have in our guidelines for it. So to not approve it, you have to have a very substantial reason. Not just emotion, not just because you don't like the project or.
So I'd like to go to the conditions, if we could.
Okay, what page?
I'm trying to find it.
We're working on 2 hours.
Right, we'll take a break.
Thank you.
At 8, wait a minute, at 8:30, we'll wait till we finish this.
Okay.
5 more minutes.
145,
Pardon?
it's page 145, Bob.
145.
Yeah, you got it.
Number 5, for events held on the property of over 150 people, a parking and shuttle plan will be coordinated with the township to mitigate cars parking in surrounding business or neighborhoods. We don't want to do that. We don't, the township doesn't want to take responsibility for figuring out how to solve a parking issue.
No.
How was that mitigated at the Live Golf event with shuttling?
Well, they
Was that
paid,
private?
yeah, that was all private, and they paid for the police coverage. Or if like a church asked for police to, do traffic,
they'll pay for that.
Yeah.
We don't
I agree. I don't know
we don't
what
wanna
we
have
could
any part of
provide
being responsible
other
for a parking plan for a special event they're having.
Anything else, Bob?
No, that's my only objection right now.
So I have
I read-
one, I
I'm
have
sorry.
one legal question. Go ahead. Did you?
Well, I read the Free Press this morning, and it all looked very good, but what they said was, they need to generate revenue, okay? I've been reading this now for a couple hours, I still don't understand how we're going to generate revenue, right? I mean, they said, well, maybe you could have a coffee shop, maybe you can have a department store, maybe a restaurant, maybe some event for a wedding, maybe a few cottages. You've got all over the map, and I still don't know specifically what you're talking about. How to generate the revenue.
So phase one is getting tenants in those existing spaces that can generate revenue. So they're paying rent or they're assets of businesses that are already there, just diversifying how they're already making money. Then the other ideas that you're talking about, the more commercial spaces, that's like a second phase, the north half of the site.
So they showed there would be near $180,000 in revenue from the greenhouse and the barn.
Farm stop, tenants on site, yeah.
And that's, again, the north half is a mixed use, and what we tried to outline from a plan was to give us a little bit of flexibility, but we feel very confident that we can generate that and be able to stabilize the site and pay for the things that need to be preserved and stabilized on the south half of the site with the numbers that we just showed you. And I would bet there's not many people that come up here and show you numbers to validate like the amount of things that they're putting on the line. And so I think that, I don't know, I just feel very confident in that. So that's it.
Well, I just want to say also, you kind of are saying it's all over the place, mentioning lots of different kinds of uses, and that's exactly intentional, is it is a mixed use plan. So it's meant to incorporate multiple uses from residential to commercial to agricultural. And otherwise, we would be, applying for a zoning requirement that was a single use. But the point of the PUD is to make a mixed use work.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Is just across the street, we denied a PUD about the same size.
Spars Greenhouse.
Spars
It's almost
Green-
exactly the same size.
Almost exactly the same size. Are we getting in a situation here, if we approve this, that we're opening up the door for some other?
I've asked MMRMA, which has handled that case, and they say it's each property stands on its own.
I understand that.
They don't anticipate a rub-off. That was a completely different proposal.
I understand.
So
But it was
maybe.
a PUD, though.
Maybe, yeah, it was a PUD, and it's being appealed.
Yeah.
So it'll be another year or two before we know the answer. Do you want to weigh in, Kevin, on this at all?
What I would add is that the property owner does not have a constitutional right
Understand.
to a rezoning or to a PUD.
Yeah.
And I want to leave it at that
Okay.
because of the ongoing litigation.
Yeah, I just,
Well, we found that the
was my only
SPARS
concern.
situation was not a community benefit. But, well, we haven't voted on this yet, but,
We don't want to talk about it because it's.
Pending
yeah,
litigation.
no, I agree. I'm just
so you're
saying
gonna
what
have
we
a market,
voted
you're gonna
on.
have a market there to sell stuff, to sell fruit and foods and stuff like that? I mean, just right down the street, you have
Schmitz.
Schmitz,
yeah.
which does the same kind of
It's only
thing.
open
Yeah.
6 months of the year.
Yeah, but I know that, but
Where's
is
Schmitz?
your plan,
It's on Joy Road.
365, 7 days a week? Is that-
Yeah, so I would encourage you to stop by Argus in Ann Arbor or Agricole in Chelsea. They're both
I've
the
been
farm,
there.
case, they're both farm step models. So they're grocery store hours. They're 7 days a week. They're not seasonal. They have a radically different pricing approach than Schmitz. Schmitz has more of a traditional grocery approach.
Yeah.
The whole purpose, I mean, the Argus is I think it's like a L3C or something like that. It's a limited profit business.
Yeah, an LCC.
Right, so they're a mission-based, or grocery. Their purpose is to empower farmers and to create sustainability with our agricultural system. And that's why they do rely heavily on their cafe component. So that's why we keep mentioning the big coffee shop term. But that, coffee shop baked goods, those are a big part of how they support themselves with their revenue.
And of course, there's the farmer's market in downtown Plymouth.
Well, and I would also say, Ann Arbor has a very robust farmer's market that's not threatened at all by Argus.
I'm just talking it
Yeah,
out.
no, and I'm just responding. I'm really just responding that you see a gas station on every corner. There's a reason they do that. More places with more groceries and more options do end up benefiting everybody.
Well, I would like to have some groceries on this side of the township.
I would too.
We thought we were going to have one, but so this locally sourced, you're going to have locally sourced places providing you stuff year round,
Correct.
as opposed to big farms.
Correct. So you're probably not going to get a lot of pineapples. You just won't.
No,
So but that's what I'm saying. There's more seasonality, but yes, the commitment is to local sourcing. In the case of Argus of Ann Arbor, it's within 50 miles. I'm not sure what our version of that would be, but it's some kind of local sourcing.
Okay, you can generate revenue from a gift shop, from a farmer's market where you have a small grocery store. You can generate a lot of money from flowers, tulips. This is Nellis Farms. It is not Meyer Garden with an amphitheater. For God's sakes, I'd love this to be a focal point of Southeast Michigan.
Okay, what's your pleasure? You want to we'll take a break and then come back?
For the public.
The public then can speak.
Yes.
Prepare your talks very succinctly. It's 8:30, so we'll go away for 5 minutes. So at 8:40, we'll be back here. We ready? So anybody that wants to speak, come forward, be civil, be succinct and short. Be respectful of other people's time. Try not to repeat more than you have to, because other people may have said it already. Just use good judgment.
All right, good evening. My name is Carrie Gray. I'm no relation to the Grays of Gray's Greenhouse, but I've been a Plymouth Township resident, voter, taxpayer, and homeowner for the last 16 years. I also own Tilly's Flower Farm, as you all know, and I'm a tenant at Gray's Greenhouse. This year was my first year growing at Gray's, having begun the site prep last fall. Until now, I could only grow flowers in my home garden, so having access to the space at Gray's has been a game changer for my business. So it has allowed me to quadruple my growing space, which has helped me increase my sales, and it's also given me the ability to provide my flowers weekly to local stores and florists. And this is just the beginning. I really anticipate being able to grow and increasing my flower production over the years ahead. So that means more dollars are staying in our community, and it also means more support for other small businesses. There's simply no other place in Plymouth Township where I could access the space, resources, and horticultural community I get with Rachel and Adam than Grace provides. So at the last meeting, there was discussion by the Board of Trustees, and I think a little bit tonight, about whether this project is economically viable. But no one asks if it's economically viable to add another pharmacy or another car wash or storage facility when there are already many of those in the community. Yet those have been approved over the years, and this project deserves the same opportunity to prove itself. This isn't a developer looking to maximize a site, as we know. It's a small business owner working alongside other small business owners to activate and preserve a historic community treasure. The plan ensures the greenhouse can remain economically viable, a destination that attracts visitors and benefits the township. Losing this property to a residential development would not just harm Gray's, but also other small businesses like mine and Adams that rely on this site and plan to continue growing here if this proposal is approved. The plan being proposed is thoughtful and phased, preserving and rehabilitating the greenhouse first, then carefully expanding in ways that strengthen the property and the community. It also has strong support from nearby residents and other Plymouth Township residents who recognize the value this property and project brings to our community. The proposal reflects the uniqueness of Plymouth Township. People often visit the city of Plymouth, but this project could help draw people into the township, boosting our tax base, strengthening our small business community, ensuring our township residents continues to be a vibrant, attractive place for people of all ages to live. So I strongly encourage you to approve the rezoning and PUD overlay. Thank you.
So we can put the sign in out there and then to speed it up and make it sign up. Yeah, that way they can be pre-signed.
There we go. My name is John Boris, and I'm a Plymouth Township resident, taxpayer, and voter. And I'm here again tonight to support the proposed conditional rezoning and preservation of the historic Gray Greenhouse property. At the last meeting, I heard three main concerns raised about the request. One, the theoretical risk of a future rogue developer acquiring the property. Two, one trustee stated opposition to PUDs based on past constituents' feedback. And three, some apparent confusion about the potential number of structures in the proposed concept plan. I'd like to briefly share my thoughts on those concerns. On the first concern, this request is for conditional rezoning, with many voluntarily offered conditions which must be met to secure final approval of the site plan. Any future owner would be bound by them. The risk of a bad actor exists with every rezoning request. If that risk alone is grounds for rejection, then all rezonings would have to be denied, which is unreasonable and I believe illegal. On the second, community feedback on prior PUDs cannot prejudice this proposal. In fact, over 80% of the feedback to the Planning Commission on the proposed rezoning was in support, and the residents in attendance at the last meeting, including those living in close proximity to the property, overwhelmingly voiced their support of the petitioner's plan. And they suffered through a very long agenda in order to do so. Every rezoning request must be evaluated and approved or denied based on its own merits, as well as relevant community feedback on the request, not biases on past experiences. Finally, as to the third, at the last meeting during the presentation of their concept plan, the petitioners referenced multiple potential uses for the same structures, not multiple structures for each potential use. For example, the greenhouse could serve as a growing space, event venue, workshop venue, or community gathering space, all within the same structure. Hopefully, after further review of the concept plan, this misunderstanding has been resolved. So in closing, at the last meeting, I also heard unanimous praise from the trustees of the concept envisioned by the Gray's Greenhouse and in preservation of this historic site, including those trustees who stated that they were still not going to vote to approve the request, which was somewhat confusing to me. I respectfully urge the board to put aside any personal biases, as the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act requires, and approve this thoughtful, community-focused proposal based on its merits and the Planning Commission's recommendation and demonstrated community support. Thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Rick McCoy. I've been a lifelong educator in the Plymouth Canton schools, taught in Plymouth schools for 40 years, and I've been a supporter of Gray's Greenhouse for 25 years. I just want to say, if you're talking about books, there's another great book, Last Child in the Woods, and if you haven't read that, you ought to read that one. At a time in our existence where we have lost so many natural areas around here to the sprawling developments, to developments of subdivisions and other things, this is a very refreshing kind of a thing. Any plan that's going to preserve and actually enhance natural areas in our area sounds fantastic to me. As an educator, I'm also a tree hugger, admittedly, and I've spent years in the district putting kids on buses and taking them out to like Howell Nature Center, taking them outside of the district to places to Mathi Gardens, where we could get them exposure to outdoor areas and to outdoor learning. This would be a fantastic thing for this community to have a site like this for outdoor learning and education right here in our own community. And finally, because I'm going to make this quick, finally, I know these people that are putting this thing together, they're not philanthropists. I think that they have several clear plans for profit when they're putting this thing together. I don't think I've ever seen anybody come before a commission that doesn't have a pretty clear idea how they're going to make some profit from the project they're proposing. Thanks for your attention.
Hello, finally made it up. This long meeting. Maddie Piontek again. I live in Plymouth Township, kind of close to Gray's. And before I say this, I was watching the owners. We really all would appreciate when we ask questions or just have concerns or criticism. Don't roll your eyes and get huffy. It doesn't look great when you want to bring the community in, but I was watching that. It wasn't that great. I really like Gray's and the historic part of Gray's. I'd always go out and visit like Isabella or Jessica or Alice. Got my plants there, all my tomatoes this year. And I like the historic aspect of what I think some of the dirt floor is still there. But it is kind of funny. I mean, it would be interesting to know, I mean, I know it's like in litigation, but like, could it change as far as litigation at all if the courts decide they can have, they should have been approved if you approve this? Just a thought, but it doesn't seem like a super concrete plan. Even the presentation, I know it's community-based, but there's not like, this is what we're gonna do. You mentioned a bodega, which by the way, we don't have here. That's a regional term if you're not from Michigan, but we don't have that here. Wellness spa, distillery, brewery, tap room, hardware store, there's so much listed, it's just like, I don't know, it seems like very rushed. Maybe if you came with more of the, I know the community wants to save the Grays part, but we might be more in support of the rest of it. So it's nothing against that I don't like Grays or anything, it's just, it's very rushed. Even the presentation. Also, as a side note for the rat thing, I live right off, I think they live near Hines. I have hawks and owls in my neighborhood. Plymouth still has a rat problem. It's just how it is when you live in neighborhoods. So that's just my little piece. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Brakey. I am a resident of Plymouth Township. And I have done a little bit of reading and research on this project, and I want to say I'm in 100% full support of this vision. I think it would be a tremendous asset to the Plymouth community. I grew up in Ann Arbor, and so I'm familiar with Argus Farm Shop. It's a phenomenal model and a wonderful business there in Ann Arbor. If they can do anything even close to that, and I think it could be better even because of the additional acreage, the educational factor, the nature preserve, the community events that will help with just all sorts of, connection to nature and connection to community, connection to learning. This is all really, really good for our community. And I am in full support of this initiative, and I hope the board can see the vision. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Supervisor. Mary Ann McLaren, almost 30-year resident of Plymouth Township. I will not repeat what the other speakers have said, especially the first 2-3 speakers said an awful lot of what is true and what I believe too. What I will say, though, is you're going to preserve something historic. You're going to create something sustainable. The community is looking for more parks. Here's an opportunity for more green space. Also, as just a kind of reminder, when Central Middle School wanted to be turned into park, the millage failed, and yet look at the success that has turned into through the years of them doing this privately funded, and I think Grays can do the same thing. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janet Brakey, and I'm a Plymouth Township resident. And again, I'm not going to repeat what everybody said who's in support, because I would really love and welcome the opportunity to see what can be done at that property. I've shopped at Grays, I've attended small workshops, and anytime I've gone, I brought friends from outside the area, and they ultimately end up staying in the area and supporting other businesses at the same time that they're there. So I just wanted to say I thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to voice my support.
Hello, Wendy Harless. I'm here representing my family's home and property at 8959 North Lily Road, which is right across the street from this property. I'm also the chairperson of our Historic District Commission here in Plymouth Township. I want to say that I am in support of this proposal. If you talk to Rachel, the other proposals that she has gotten when she put up the for sale sign are developers, and they would demolish everything, every tree, every bit of historic building. We would lose all of that, and it would be condos, and it is zoned multifamily. So if that happens, that's what's going to go in there. There's no legal way to stop that. It would be condos, and they would have every right to put condos in there. So I want us to think about, what do we want there? What do we as a community want to see? And I, for one, want to see a park-like space, because we don't have that on the southern side of the township yet, and community building. Like, let's keep building on all the great things that we already have going there at Grays. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Elaine Didier, and I'm a 51-year resident of Plymouth Township, which is a little scary. I was initially in support of this plan when I first heard about it, but even more so in support after this evening's presentation. The last time I watched this board meeting on Zoom, and so we didn't have great visuals. available to us by that. Through all the years, I've been a regular customer of Mrs. Gray's. I'm a gardener and a pruner, used to really, really enjoy doing much more than I can now. This proposal reflects a very creative evolution of this property rather than just a mass dense housing development as was mentioned. This will maintain a very, very unique nursery and improve uses and especially improve all of our access to unique flora and fauna, which I hope people realize is very, very special to Gray's. It's not just an ordinary seasonal location, and it's been very, very precious in this community. It offers a very, very much better adaptation of this property rather than a dense housing development, which is horrifying. This is especially important in terms of its location, which has high traffic volume, and even with the move of the access, I can't imagine dense housing and children on bicycles in and out of that. They would be trapped within that area with no ability to get to a broader neighborhood. So it is not suited for dense housing at all. If Gray's Greenhouse ceases to exist, it will be a huge loss for all of us and for the entire region. And I think this idea of a year-round farmers market, the Argus model, I'm a longtime person with the University of Michigan. I'm very, very familiar with that, as well as the uniqueness of the plant materials that are offered. Make this a tremendous asset for the community, and I really urge this board to approve this proposal. Thank you.
Professional moment. Were you not curator director of the Gerald Ford? Would you like to brag a little bit?
Right. I was for 16 years till I retired, was the director of the Gerald Ford Presidential Library and Museum. The library is in Ann Arbor. The museum is in Grand Rapids. And before that, I was with the University of Michigan and also Oakland University, driving across town from Plymouth. So, yes, I understand. I understand the cultural environments on both sides of the state. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
June Cutter, and I'm a resident of the township. And I visited Greenfield Village a few weeks ago and was surprised to see a building there from Plymouth, Michigan. The Plymouth Carding Mill was taken from the township. It was at one point somewhere along the Middle Rouge River and transplanted to the village. I would hate for our children and grandchildren to only experience the history of our township's commercial buildings by going to Dearborn. Tonight, you have an opportunity to preserve some of our community's history right here, right now. I'm referring to Gray's Greenhouse and the adjacent buildings. It's not every day or every term that our township board has an opportunity to make a legacy decision. Some decisions made by our township boards in the past have left a legacy of another kind. For example, Myers, that has a 20-year tax-free gift incentives granted that they don't have to pay to our township. I'd like to think the board will make more positive legacy decisions. The team behind Gray's is seeking a PUD to help preserve the 100-plus-year-old barn and greenhouse. The PUD granted to St. John's helped to preserve that historic gem. We have only a few other historic commercial buildings left in our community. Burroughs is an example, but too many others have been demolished, like the old courthouse on Plymouth Road. Even the silos that had remained for several years at the old Tohoku site have now been removed. I urge you to think about the legacy that you are leaving in our community while you're on this board. Do you really want to be the people who brought about the loss of one of the oldest commercial structures in our community? Or is your legacy to preserve the wonderful nuggets of history and community at Gray's? I look at the granting of a zoning change as a quid pro quo. The community gives up something in exchange for gaining something. In the case of Gray's, the community gives up the potential of 27 residential units jammed into 6 acres across from an airport. But we get in exchange, by granting a PUD, is, I think, more valuable and deserving and desirable of our residents. Public green space at no expense to the public and taxpayers, and an amazing concept for our residents to enjoy for years to come. So before you cast your vote tonight, please think about the legacy you want to leave. And remember, a yes vote comes with a bonus: historic preservation and green space for the public to enjoy without anyone having to take a trip to Greenfield Village.
Hello, my name is Cindy Hoganson. I am not a resident of Plymouth. I am a resident of Canton. I've lived there for 38 years. For 38 years, I have shopped at Gray's Greenhouse. It's my go-to place, my favorite place in this area. The group that has put together this presentation is looking to the future, not to the past. They want to keep what is here so that we have it for the future kids that are growing up now who will find the joy of gardening. And if we don't do something about that, we're gonna all be in trouble. The bee colonies are all dying. They need the native plants that these guys are proposing to stay here so that we can support them. So I 100% back their proposal to put a PUD here and allow them to progress. Thank you.
I'm Dale Bernhardt. This is an important corner. It's a gateway into our township. We really want to get this thing right. As we know, PUDs have 8 objectives. To be approved, you have to meet all 8. One of them is traffic. If we look at the site plan rendering that was put up on the screen, if all those buildings come to fruition, we're going to have a traffic problem. There's no doubt about it. So I asked the board, how can we approve this without having some sort of traffic study? We have no idea. That's important, you know, to all the residents, traffic. Now, don't get me wrong, I like what you guys are trying to do. I would like to see a really great development on the corner. I'm not trying to say that your plan is bad. I'm saying that there is problems with traffic. And the other question I have, a couple weeks ago, we had a young couple come in and they asked for rezoning of their property from residential to agricultural. And the question was asked, tax implications, property tax implications. So I'm asking the same question here. What is the property tax implication, especially since we went through the budget right now, tonight? So I'm wondering what happens to property taxes going from residential R2 to, what is this, mixed use or OS? I don't even know what it is, but so that would be one of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commercial properties pay 18 mils more than residential.
Right.
So that's about, well,
But-
I don't know, percentage-wise. Most people pay 6 mils for school tax.
But they pay that now, just because it's zoned residential.
But
It's
the
not-
property value will, I assume they're going to add value, so the taxable
Hopefully.
value will increase,
Hopefully,
not decrease.
but it isn't based on the zoning, it's based on the use.
On use. Because if they put,
Residential in there.
if they put new residential, you're gonna get the new value of it. And then if they put some sort of income property there, that gets 18 mils also.
Yeah, right. Currently, they're paying commercial.
Yes, they are, yeah.
All right, any more? Otherwise, we're ready. The board have any other questions? Otherwise, we're ready for a motion.
I would like to ask one more question. In these conditions, if the conditions, I would like to have the number 5 stricken out of here, because it tends to imply that the township would be obligated to solve a parking plan issue when they're having an event, and we have lots of places in the township that have events, and we don't solve their parking issues, so,
Can we have an opinion from the attorney?
yeah.
I don't think we can do that. The conditions have to be unilaterally imposed by the applicant.
What does that mean?
That means for a conditional rezoning, all of the conditions have to be given by the applicant alone, not with any input from the township. The township can't request any specific conditions.
Right. That's a problem.
Well, I would, I would just say like we can change it because I don't think that's what we were trying to imply. I think we were just trying to imply that if we do have something that, has over 150 people, that we would make sure that cars are not being parked in neighborhoods. And that was also something I think Laura and I had talked about in a meeting, that just with other properties that have had larger events, that's something that they have offered, and that's kind of the reason for being there.
What would be the example of that?
A similar example would be the Phoenix Mill redevelopment,
Right.
adaptive reuse.
The what one?
Phoenix Mill.
The old Ford plant.
Okay.
They propose to coordinate with the township for shared parking agreements with adjacent or nearby hotels for larger events. So the township wasn't responsible for coordinating that. It was just the onus was on the applicant, the developer, to provide information to the township on how that shared parking would be coordinated should they have larger events.
Okay, as long as we're clear about that, we're not facilitating.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that way I don't come up here as a resident and say, hey, why are people parking in my
Right, I get
thing?
it, but if you have an event with more than 150 people, that's gonna be a lot of people and a lot of cars, and you're gonna have to figure out where to put them. You can't come to the township and ask us for help with a parking plan.
I think
Okay.
how it reads, Bob's picking up that somehow we're helping shuttle people
Yeah.
as a township, but it sounds like your intention is something different.
Correct, and I would unilaterally change that, or we could change that on our own accord to be a little more.
It has to be, can you cross it off?
No, this doesn't have a good smell to it. He's offering to change that after a board member has asked that it be changed, which.
helpful that he just clarified the intent.
All right.
The shuttle plan.
And also the conditions have to be in writing, so that change would have to be done now.
The most
Yeah,
logical.
I was just saying like we could clarify the intent of it, not change it based on.
I don't think that the applicant can require the township to do anything anyway.
I think I've got it though. So this is lowercase township. This is the area, not the legal entity, uppercase township. So that.
You should have been an English teacher.
You didn't say which township.
Well, my recommendation would be if you had a big event, the best place to find parking is Metatol Airport. They have a very large yard, and they even have a large parking lot.
And honestly, what is on site right now has over 150 parking spaces.
And we've coordinated with him in the past,
Yeah.
Don, the owner.
Yeah,
and they are
that's
together.
property that's easily parked on.
Yeah, we've shared parking with him for years.
Any more, or are we ready for a motion? And go ahead.
I would just really like to see a traffic study. I mean, they said that if it was desired, they would offer a light touch traffic study.
So we desire it,
Yes.
like number 6. When they come back, if this is approved, come back for the contract, hopefully number 6 will be fulfilled. whatever light touch means.
Yeah, well, I don't know what that means either.
Unfortunately, traffic studies in the Plymouth Township area now are distorted because all of the traffic load that's being diverted and redirected because of M14
Yes.
and Ann Arbor Road, construction projects is totally mixing up the real natural traffic patterns. In fact, if you're gonna do it, the best time to do it will probably be like March, early March, before they restart the programs, but still distorted.
So there's gonna have to be two resolutions here.
Can they not be
Yes.
offered seriatim?
I don't,
Seriatim, I don't care. but I
Laura,
don't
tell
think
us,
so.
how, I think we need to vote on each separately,
I think so too.
Okay.
but, oh, well, you can tell
And the
us. right?
conditional
So
rezoning has
separately-
to go first.
Pardon?
The conditional rezoning has to go first.
So that's on page 137. And 138.
138.
138. Move to adopt resolution number 2025-09-23-77, authorizing adoption of a map amendment to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 99 to conditionally rezone the subject site at 8820 Lily Road to the OS Office Service District as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Support. Okay, trustee Stewart,
Yes.
treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Buckley,
Yes.
trustee Clinton,
No.
no. Trustee Grove,
No.
supervisor Kermy,
Yes.
motion carries.
So is that 5-2?
Yes.
5-2.
So now there's another motion. It's to adopt the PUD option.
Move to adopt resolution number 2025-09-23-78, authorizing approval of a planned unit development PUD option for the subject site at 8820 Lily Road as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Second. Supervisor Kermy,
Yes.
trustee Grove,
No.
trustee Clinton,
No.
trustee Buckley,
Yes.
clerk Borba, yes. Treasurer Dorchevitz,
Yes.
trustee Stewart,
Yes?
motion carries.
All right. Now you gotta go to work. Now the work begins for you. Please make us proud. All right, now we're doing an annual event that's required by state law to establish our tax rate and submit it to Wayne County by September 30th. Bob, go, this is your bag,
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
page 197.
197. Yeah, this is self-explanatory. Our rate is reduced by the, let me rotate it here.
Let's see.
Our Headley millage reduction fraction this year comes out to 0.9995, which means that we reduce the, each of the 5 millages by a small amount. So our total goes from 5.1276 to 5.1248. Is there any questions?
This still remains, from what I can tell, the lowest in Wayne County.
I believe it is.
Sumter is really close. All right,
Mr. Supervisor, I move to approve resolution number, hang on, I gotta rotate it
here,
back.
let me see. Resolution number 2025-09-23-79.
What he said,
So somebody needs to make a motion.
I got it. I move to approve resolution number 2025-909-23-79, hereby approving the attached 2025 tax rate request form L 4029 as completed by Treasurer Dorshevitz with a millage rate of 5.1248 to be levied on December 1st, 2025, and to authorize the township clerk and supervisor to sign the form and submit to Wayne County Equalization Division prior to September 30th, 2025 deadline.
Second. Okay, trustee Stewart,
Yes.
Supervisor Kermy,
Yes.
trustee Grove,
Yes.
trustee Buckley,
Yes.
treasurer Dorshevitz, sorry,
Yes.
clerk Borba, yes, trustee,
Me, Clinton, yes.
Clinton, thank you. Yes, motion carries. Boy, that was difficult.
Now, item F4, which is the fire consulting service that we are considering. We had a tie on September 9th, which means we did nothing or can't do anything. And the one of the people from September 9th, Stone Productions, has withdrawn their proposal and no longer wants to be considered. So I respectfully request that you take or authorize the fire chief and me to negotiate a contract with ESCI in the amount of about $35,000. And that way they can start before the upcoming holidays and work on this in a logical fashion to give us some data points for future decision-making.
We need a resolution.
Do we have a motion or discussion?
One second, I have something I want to say. I noted in reading this that there will be one site visit, and I just want to make that point.
We will also utilize, they'll be here when they need to be, and then we'll also make sure that we're using Zoom or whatever if we're having meetings with them.
It doesn't matter, I'm voting for it anyway, but I just want to make the note because there was a lot of question about why decisions were made in the past, and that is a concern to me. I just want to make that note. It spells out in here one site visit.
In other words, make sure they come at least once.
No.
No?
Make sure that they know I don't think that's adequate, and
Okay.
it is a concern to me. If you want to do the job, you should be here to do it.
That price, so
So
we're
That
twice
isn't
as much.
necessarily true. Consultants work remote
Worldwide.
all the time. But it's a question of whether you have an effective visit on the site, and that depends on your preparation. If you
Right.
prepare properly, the auditors come out for 2 days, Jerry? They came out
Last
for?
time, yeah.
And they did everything else remote, and that's an audit of our entire finances.
And will they be speaking with the trustees? Like, will we be notified? Like, how does
We'll
that
make
work?
sure that they speak with the right people.
And who will determine the right people?
The fire chief, me, and you. I mean, everybody will have input. Although remember, they're consultants and, they have a specific scope of work, so you can't sit down and talk with them for 6 hours.
They have a process. I'm sure they have a well-defined process.
You want to make a motion?
If we have, is everybody done with their
We
comment?
talked this over, I think.
Pursuant to your recommendation, move that the board authorize the supervisor and fire chief to execute an agreement not to exceed $35,000 with ESCI to conduct an independent evaluation of fire and EMS staffing and call volume, and to provide recommendations for improving operational effectiveness and resource allocation.
Second.
Tie. I get the tie.
Doro, okay. Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Supervisor Kermy?
Yes.
Trustee Buckley?
Yes.
Trustee Grove?
Yes.
Trustee Clinton?
Yes.
Treasurer Dorshevitz?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, any more, let's see, I think we're at the end of the agenda, so we can take comments on anything. You can say anything you want as long as it's reasonably civil and not a personal attack. Well, you can do that with me, but other people.
I can do a personal attack?
Sure. Anybody else in the audience? No? All right. Board comments, we'll start with Jerry Vorba.
Nope. All done.
Bob Dorshevitz.
So tax collections were actually down a little this year. There were more people that did not pay by the deadline than there were in the previous 2 years, by about 150 taxpayers. So I don't know, I don't have an explanation for that. We sent reminder letters, which would have hit their mailboxes probably yesterday or today, and I don't know if it's a sign of the economy or people just forgot or, you know, what happened, but it was significant number, a significant number of delinquencies.
Mostly residential?
Yeah, residential.
Now they pay
Personal was about the same as it always is.
They pay a 3% penalty if they pay by September 30th?
1%.
1%.
Yeah, 1% per calendar month until February, and then February 15th, it's a 3% plus 1.
Thank you for your efforts and your team. They worked.
Yeah, it was pretty couple of crazy days there, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you gotta chat a lot of people up. That takes a lot of time.
Yeah, well, you know, miss an opportunity to chat up a voter.
Yeah. Jennifer Buckley.
Oh. Sorry.
If you're not ready, we'll
Yeah, could
go
someone
to
else
Sandy
go?
Grove.
Just very briefly, I just want to make the comment that the entire tax bill that we all paid that was due by September 16th, now I want to make the note that not one penny of that money came to Plymouth Township. People complain a lot about their taxes and how high they are. None of that money came to Plymouth Township. That's part of what we do. We collect taxes for everyone else. So I just want to make that point.
John.
I'm glad to see that the state legislature has scheduled sessions for this Friday and next Monday, which is out of the ordinary because they usually only schedule Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to allow travel for Upper Peninsula legislators. So I'm hopeful that we see a budget agreement. A shutdown serves no one. Scouting of Michigan came to my law office, and it is a lifetime honor, and it's very humbling. There will be a fundraiser for scouting, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. Wade Myers in my office is a longtime scoutmaster of an excellent troop. 7 Eagles ready to go when they should have attended a local government meeting, but they're waiting for everything to be civil. But Scouting America will have a fundraiser on October 7th at Auburn Hills, and the lowest price ticket is $300. The highest price ticket is $25,000. The guest speaker is Mr. In the End Zone, David Montgomery, an Eagle Scout from the Detroit Lions, and I will be introducing him. If you want a joke, I'm 5'11" and 220 pounds, which is exactly what David Montgomery is.
Tackle like him, or can you run like him?
Mark Clinton.
I'm all set.
Jennifer Buckley.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank both chiefs over there for another successful 9/11 ceremony. It was very beautiful, very memorable, great guest speaker, just so happens to be my husband. And then just secondarily, I want to point out something that Dale Bernhardt said when this new regime, whatever you want to, new board came in, that you wanted there to be more transparency in our voting, like how we voted. And I just think in this particular instance with Gray's Greenhouse, I respect my colleagues very much, so please don't feel offended, but I just think we do a disservice for the time that these people put in and the citizens to not at least give them an explanation as to why you voted no. And I just want to make that point with that transparency, because I think most of us deliberated quite at length, and so it's kind of obvious where we were going with our votes, but it didn't seem as obvious with others. And I think some of us have learned too from Northfield Downs how important it is to just continue the conversation and talk as to what we're doing up here, right? There's not necessarily some political motive behind it, so. And with that, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, just because somebody asks questions doesn't mean they're opposed to it. They're just asking questions.
Right.
Exactly. Right. I will be gone for 6 days beginning Monday and be highly unreachable, but all possible, but so hopefully things will run well while I'm gone.
When is this? I'm sorry.
Beginning Monday to Monday.
Oh, Monday.
I think we're gonna
Revolt. You can revolt while I'm gone.
We're gonna close for 6 days.
Close for 6 days. You will see about on October 13th, we will have a herd of goats that will be mowing down the pond grasses. We're gonna give this a shot. The one drawback is goats don't like standing in water, so now that it's filling up, we can't maybe do as much as we would like, but we're experimenting with the goats. It's a easy environmental thing. We've tried over the years, and we've had a lot of quotes, $150,000 to $200,000 to clean it up. This is gonna be hopefully a $4,000 or $5,000 goat job.
Like this guy that gave the whole presentation about his innovation, right? So we're not doing that, we're going with the goats.
This thing was for the township park. We're talking about the bacteria.
That was where there was real water. This is just 6 inches of mucky water in the it's our detention pond.
Oh.
The other one was a real pond at the township park. This is a detention pond. So we're gonna try the goats. It should be somewhat interesting to see how it works. DTE is using them widely. Huntington Park is going to use them a week before on Powell Road, right across from your subdivision.
Yeah.
So
Tell them not to eat too much.
yeah, one thing that's interesting about goats is they kill the seeds they eat, whereas birds don't. And they
Birds
spread them
expel
around.
them.
They spread them around, so.
So you better warn dispatch that there's gonna be calls about a herd of
goats.
goats.
I'm gonna say Kermie's Folly. Any other wild news? I don't know. I'm getting a little concerned about some of the progress on the Salem pipeline. I don't know, articles in the paper, whatever. We'll see how that goes. It ain't over till it's over. Okay.
I move to adjourn.
All right. Have a good
Second.
night.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go.